What's good, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the What's Good Games podcast. I'm your host, Andrea Renee, joined by Miss Christine Steimer.
Oh, hello.
Miss Brittany Brombacher.
I'm hungover.
And we have special guest, Kahlief Adam.
What up, ladies?
Welcome to our humble little studio.
This is fantastic. This is super dope.
We've been wanting to get you on the show for a hot minute, and I know every time I've asked you, it's been like not enough time to schedule it properly. And so when I found out that you were going to be in town for the Game Developers Conference, I was like, yo,
Boom.
We got to make this happen.
I am super happy to be here. I'm humbled to be in your presences.
And it's a lot easier to do it in person than over Skype.
It is way better.
Yeah.
Way better to do it this way.
Yes.
Super, super fun.
100% agree. If you are new to the What's Good Games podcast, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. This is your source for video game news, commentary, analysis, and funny stuff. And we are here in San Francisco during the Game Developers Conference.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit of housekeeping before we really kick some things off.
Yeah.
It is upon us.
What's
PAX
it?
East.
Okay, I was like,
Like this
It's
is coming,
very
ladies
ominous.
and gentlemen.
That was like a
Just-
pax upon
she
your
said.
hoe.
No, just a couple of weeks away on Friday, April 6th at 3 p.m. in the Arachnid Theater is What's Good Games Live. We are going to be doing our panel. If you are going to be in Boston and you're coming to the Penny Arcade Expo, we'd love to see you out there. Please come by, say hi. Come watch a live version of our show. Directly after that, from 5 to 7 p.m., we are hosting the What's Good Games Happy Hour meet and greet at the Whiskey Priest.
oh,
Damn. Whiskey Priest is a good spot, too.
It's a great
that's
spot.
a fun spot. That's a cool
So
spot.
we finally locked that down, got everything signed, so it's official. We will be there. We will have our own little corner of the bar roped off, baller style.
We're fancy.
So if you're going to be in Boston, even if you don't have a ticket to the show, you are more than welcome to come and join us. Come say hi. I'm going to get balloons or something. I don't know. It's going to be great.
Can we get a balloon of a whiskey priest?
Sorry, I'm
I
gonna get
don't know.
balloons.
I don't know what a
Level
whiskey
35.
priest is.
Neither do
Whiskey
I.
priest.
We can make it up. Why don't we just get a balloon of a whiskey and a balloon of a priest? I'm sure they make those.
A balloon of a
whiskey?
priest?
A whiskey?
Oh, a balloon of a priest. That sounds like something you find like a bachelorette party or
See if I can get some custom
Really?
balloons
Why
made
would you
just
want that
for
at
you,
your bachelorette
Steimer.
party?
Hey, people like weird shit at the bachelorette
That's
parties.
true.
That's true.
But we want you guys to come out and say hi. We have an event up on our Facebook page. That's facebook.com/whatsgoodgames. If you are planning to come, we would love it if you could RSVP so we can get a kind of an accurate head count of how many people are planning to show up, just so we don't have a PAX West situation on our hands. If you guys came out to our PAX West meetup,
You mean
it was
PSX?
You mean
so-
PSX?
No. I'm talking about PAX West where there was a line around the
Oh,
block.
you mean at the circus
Oh, the
thing.
party.
Wait, no, it
Yeah.
wasn't called circus. What was it called? Unicorn Bar?
It was called the Unicorn Bar. Yeah, we did the launch party. We partnered with Square Enix at PAX West.
That was a long line.
We did not realize how many people were going to come to that thing, and wow, it was a line around the block. It was
Yeah.
awesome. The PSX meetup also, we underestimated how many people were going to attend
Third
that.
time's a
And we,
charm.
Yeah,
we
third
took
time's
over the
a charm.
Marriott lobby bar in a very awkward way where all the bartenders were like, what are you doing?
They're like, you kind of like can't do this. We're like,
Yeah.
well, we just did.
We just
so-
thought it was going to be a couple pals hanging out, having a beer, talking about
Having
video
some
games,
lemon
and then
drops.
Zyger comes in with his lemon drops,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
there's like
Oh,
a bunch of other
man.
people, and it was awesome. We loved seeing you guys and hanging
Lemon
out,
drops.
but
It was lit.
we want to be
Will-
prepared this time.
Will the whiskey priest serve us lemon drops?
Sure.
I don't know why not.
Oh, God.
Well, I just don't know. Do they only have whiskey?
No, of
No.
course not.
Whiskey drop.
It's
if
a full bar.
A whiskey drop.
I don't know.
Is that a
yeah,
thing?
the whiskey drop.
Is a whiskey drop a thing?
Is it?
No.
I mean, that's essentially just like a whiskey sour, but no, a
Oh.
whiskey drop is not a thing. We
Oh.
could maybe
Could've
make
fooled me.
it a
Yeah.
thing.
With lemons?
It sounds like
that doesn't sound good.
like a cough remedy. is
Like
what
a
it-
hot toddy?
yeah.
Like Robitussin?
Ooh, hot toddies are
Ew,
good.
Robitussin.
What the hell, Kahlief?
Let's go whiskey drop.
But a whiskey sour is essentially like just whiskey and lemon juice with sugar.
Oh, the sugar is the important element there for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
Lots of sugar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just rim it with sugar.
Give me all the sugar.
Now that we're all talking about cocktails, it makes me kind of want one. No, don't want
No.
one. Yes, I. Yep,
I'm
no.
too
I'll have one
sleepy
with you,
for a
girl. I got you.
cocktail.
Also, we have an exclusive video up at patreon.com/whatsgoodgames. If you guys aren't involved in our Patreon, we'd love it if you could support us. We have such a great community over there. A bunch of really, really fun folks. The secret segment is going to be publishing very soon, in just a few days, I think. So if you guys are in the secret segment tier, we spent time talking about what it was like for us in high school. It was when we at the end of it, we were like, we could easily keep talking about this for several more hours. But it's a good one. So if you want to hear all about that, again, patreon.com/whatsgoodgames. And Mr. Kahlief, you have a Patreon as well.
Oh, snap.
We are proud supporters of Spawn on Me.
Thank you so much for supporting us. We really do appreciate it.
Of course, you guys are great.
Yeah, patreon.com/spawnonme. We do really do dope stuff over there.
So what do we mean?
Whiskey Drop. We do 2 other shows besides our main show. One is a politically inclined show, actually, which is fun because people don't want to talk about that stuff, but we do. And also
Doing it anyway.
A little bit behind the scenes stuff of like a kind of little bit of like what happened to you when you were doing this. We had our embarrassing stories episode, which was really fun, which involved me and water and losing of pants. But there was a bunch of different. Yeah, it was
In public?
yes. Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome.
You
Whiskey Drop.
lost your
I'm going to have to go
pants
listen
in
to this
public?
now.
Yeah. Yeah, it happened.
You should keep them on.
I tried.
Hashtag Whiskey Drop. That's the hashtag of the show.
Hashtag gravity wins.
Oh, gravity works.
Gravity
true.
works. Yeah. So a lot of fun stuff over there.
I have an announcement.
Okay.
We are down to 7% of people not subscribed to us.
Oh my God, we dropped a whole percent?
We did.
That's
yes.
awesome. So last week, if you guys
job.
missed last week's episode, Britt informed us that 8% of our iOS users on Apple are not subscribed to the podcast. And now it's down to 7.
It is.
You
Nice.
guys are
It's
doing
kind of
it.
incredible.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Every little bit helps everybody. So if you have not yet subscribed, no matter which platform you listen on, we would love it if you did hit that subscribe button. It'll automatically push the podcast out. And hopefully you guys got the God of War special episode that I posted on Monday of this week. I will be talking about my hands-on impressions in the second segment of the show. But that was a really fun interview that I got to do at Santa Monica studio, where the entire God of War team is hard at work finishing that game, and oh boy, does it look beautiful. So we'll talk more about that later, but if you guys want to check that out, if you missed that episode, it is currently up on all podcast services, and you get a sneak peek at brand new gameplay if you go to youtube.com/whatsgoodgames. There's 30 minutes over there.
Oh, damn.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn.
Oh, damn.
Some of the gameplay I had to use was from E3 and some from their other trailers because they didn't provide me with 30 minutes of brand new footage, but there was like 18 minutes of new footage, and then I peppered in some other stuff. So anyway,
Made a nice little stew.
yeah, exactly. A God of War stew. Lots of Kratos for you. This week's episode is brought to you by Ripped Gamers. The thing with gaming is that we often spend a lot of time sitting around, and that can mean we don't end up as fit and as healthy as we would like. Our friend Tim Ross over at Ripped Gamers was in the same boat himself and got sick of feeling in worse shape than every Ripped RPG character he played. So he decided to do something about it. Fast forward to today, and he's lost over 40 pounds, got a college degree, an exercise prescription, and helped dozens of others start their own weight loss journeys. Tim is super passionate about gaming and wants to help other gamers around the world get healthy and feel better about their bodies. He's created a home-based, zero equipment required fitness program and nutrition strategy designed specifically for video gamers. You can join the Ripped Gamers Facebook community for advice, support, or just to meet some fitness-minded gamers. If you're really serious, he even offers one-on-one entirely online coaching. Tim is super passionate. I just read that. My bad. What's kind of crazy is that everything over at Ripped Gamers is completely free. The program, the Facebook group, even the one-on-one coaching. Tim is just here to help you get fit. So if you want to kickstart your fitness journey and get working towards your goals, head on over to rippedgamers.com. That's RIPPEDGAMERS.com to download your free program and join the community. Everything you need to lose weight is right at your fingertips and 100% free. What'd you say, Steimer?
So that was some good spelling.
Thank you.
Should we preface this with we had a very long night last night?
Oh,
show.
yes.
So if we're not on our A game, please forgive me.
Also, if you're
Yes.
watching
Apologies.
the video, I'm cold, so I'm like trying to snuggle into myself.
Do you want me to turn the heater on?
It's okay. I'll be okay. Yeah, it's okay.
I have hairs all over my face.
Big thank you to Tim and to Rip Gamers for sponsoring the show. Lots of WGGers in that Facebook group. So if you guys want to check it out, people there sharing their stories, sharing, their tips and tricks and talking about, what their journey is looking like. So it's a good place to go if you are thinking about starting a fitness or nutrition regimen. All right.
Which I've eaten an entire box of Lucky Charms this week.
I love when Steimer comes into town. So when the girls come to San Francisco and we are all together, it's just like all bets are off for Steimer. She's like, I want ramen. I want pizza. I'm buying a donut. Here we go.
I'm like, this is my fun time. I can do what I want here.
I feel like I'm like the bachelor dad that feeds his kids ice cream for breakfast.
Yes.
Like the divorced parents and when they're with mom, she's like,
I don't want to
eat
go
your
to mom's
eggs.
house. Mom's
And dad's like,
healthy.
who wants ice cream?
Steimer does.
I did that with my dad more than once. It was amazing.
Oh man,
That's awesome.
I need that right now.
Ice cream?
Oh, ice cream would be so good.
We can go
great.
get froyo after this.
Don't play.
It's too fucking cold
Don't
outside.
play my emotions
Steimer.
like that.
I will buy you froyo.
With toppings?
Yeah.
Oh,
Any
snap.
toppings you want?
Toppings.
Kaz doing a froyo dance.
I'll eat a bowl of
Toppings
Lucky
dance.
Charms.
Toppings.
All right, let's get started with some news, shall we?
Yeah.
It's GDC. There is a lot going on. The first thing I have on the rundown today is the Nindies GDC showcase. So Nintendo announced that they were going to be doing a little mini direct, which was very mini. It was like
11 minutes
Yeah.
and like 48 seconds.
It
it
was
was
Wow.
it was short.
The Mindy
that.
Direct.
Yes,
Mini D.
I like it.
Thanks.
Oh, I thought it was like Mindy, like the Mindy Project.
Not
good
quite. So we watched that, and then we were invited by Nintendo to get some hands-on time with some of these games, which was really excellent. So there was a bunch of stuff announced. I'm just going to run through what was announced really quick. So Mark of the Ninja Remastered, coming fall 2018. Fantasy Strike, coming summer 2018. Just Shapes and Beats, summer 2018. Garage is spring 2018. Pool Panic is just 2018. Bomb Chicken, summer 2018. Luminous Remastered is spring. Reigns King and Queens is spring. Lightfall spring. West of Loathing also spring.
Yeah.
And then this one I keep saying wrong. Is it Pode? Pode?
Pude.
Pude?
It sounds like something real dirty.
I don't remember how to say that.
It's the co-op poster.
The Messenger is coming in summer. Bad North is coming in summer. And the Banner Saga 3 is coming in summer, along with Banner Saga
Interesting.
1 and 2 coming, quote, soon.
Huh.
So don't know when that's happening. But so this was these are a nice handful of announcements of games that are coming to the platform. Of course, we've seen lots of news stories over the last couple of months of how successful independent developers are on the Switch, which is awesome because we talk about how we love bringing our Switches on the go, just like everybody else does. And we got a chance to play some of these, which we'll talk about in the next section. But did
Yeah.
any of these blow your skirt up?
Just Shapes and Beats is my game.
Yeah.
It's like emoji hands. It's like smack, smack, smack. Yeah.
Is it?
Oh yeah.
Is it like Sound Shapes?
No,
No.
not at all like Sound Shapes.
Never mind.
It's hard. It's hard.
It's a bullet hell.
Yeah. It's totally
Oh.
bullet hell, but sync
Well,
to
never
music.
mind.
Shapes and Beats.
Right.
I got a
Well,
chance
I know,
to
but
see
like
one
Shapes
level
made me think
that made
maybe-
me. That was the one that sold me,
Yeah.
and it was like was hidden. No, I'm not gonna say it. Forget it. But it's good.
Okay.
Oh.
It has to do with a video game that you know and love, and a movie that came from that game.
Oh yeah, no spoilers. Sounds like
that
an
is
Easter egg.
Awesome,
Cool.
but it's awesome.
So this game has been in development since 2014,
Yep.
and I first saw this at PAX East 3 years ago, I
Yep.
believe.
Same here.
And it was just coming to PC then, and now he's releasing it on Switch, and it's really cool. So if you're not familiar with bullet hells, essentially the idea is that there's a lot of projectiles coming at you, side-scrolling, and you just don't get hit. And in this game, it's just Shapes and Beats, and so there's all these original song tracks, and all of the bullet mechanics are timed to the rhythm of the music, and everything that is that can hit you is pink in the game. And so the idea is just to stay away from literally anything that looks pink, and it becomes don't touch Steimer. She's wearing pink today.
Ow.
And it is really, really challenging, even from like the get-go level. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I just died over and over again. But it's 4-player co-op. It is mixed of both couch co-op and online co-op. So it will be fully online co-op, which is exciting.
When what's nice about it too is we were talking about it. We just want to be able to play and bop along to the music, and there is a mode. He was
It's
telling-
baby ass baby mode.
There's a baby ass baby mode where you
Party mode.
a party mode. Well, you just keep like getting hit, but you won't actually die.
I was
That's what I'm
so
gonna have to
glad
play it
because I
on.
asked him if he was
Yeah.
going to have an assist mode in,
Yeah.
and he was like, "Oh no, but we have party mode." So
Oh.
it's like basically like where you can play with your friends and enjoy the music, and you don't have to worry about dying.
Yeah.
It's really good. I'm
Yeah.
super excited for that. and Luminez is coming back, so that's great.
Yeah.
It's like always going to feed that one need that you have. Like, oh, I'm going to do that game again on every platform I've ever had in my life.
Yep.
But it's going to be great to have it again on Switch. Yeah.
Yep.
I want West of Loathing.
Oh,
Yeah.
that
We
game
got to
looks
play
real
that.
fun.
It's a weird game.
That's why I like it.
yeah.
I'm like, this shit looks real weird.
What
so
is
I'm
it
into
again?
it.
West of Loathing is the stick
figure
figure
game.
black and white Western
Adventure game?
Adventure game.
yeah.
Yeah, and obviously I've seen this game for a while. I've kept my eye on it because how could you forget art like that? You can't. So it's really cool. I think Switch is a perfect platform for it. And what I really like about it too is the game is very self-aware. The writing is all very quirky, and it's just like if you're looking for a needle, you go search a haystack, and then there's your needle like in the haystack.
Oh, smart.
The comedy is very on the nose and cheeky in,
That's
in a
exactly
really
what I'm
fun
looking
way.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you'll like it, Steimer.
Oh, yeah.
It,
I have
it
no
reminds
doubt
you
I
of you.
will.
Yeah, it looks good. Of the other stuff that we saw at the showcase, the one big surprise for me that I wasn't anticipating as much as I did, or liking as much as I did, was Pool Panic.
Oh man.
So this game was really fun. So it's being published by Adult Swim Games, and you're effectively playing pool through a wide variety of unusual locations, like the top of a rocking pirate ship. You'll knock around a cue ball and have to deal with a wide variety of other types of balls that don't conform to what you're used to seeing in billiards. There are more than 100 levels in the game and supports 4-player local co-op. So what's fun about this game is the pool balls all have little faces,
Oh my god.
Oh.
and they all have like little characters.
Like animated faces?
Yeah, like they're move,
Yeah.
like the faces move, and like there's this one. I think it's the red ball always looks like really angry,
That
and
makes
the
sense.
the yellow ball like it looks like super derpy.
I
in
am
a
the
really
yellow
fun
ball.
way.
I am the yellow ball.
And then one of the dark blue ball always looks like it's pooping.
Oh yeah, it does. Because when you're ready,
amazing.
when you're
He's
ready,
like scrunching up his face, and it's like
Don't hit me.
it's like he's trying to push it out. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, this is
no.
one of
It's
those
funny.
games that's like we saw it in the direct, and we're like, oh, that's cool. But then when you actually played it, like every other Nintendo game, super captivating, super charming, really, really cute. To clarify in the co-op, because I was asking about this, the single player campaign, there's over 100 levels. That is single player only, and the multiplayer is like a bunch of different modes. It doesn't sound like you can do the campaign with other people, but still.
That sounds like fun. I like stuff
Yeah.
like that. Quirky games like that are great. They just like fit into those in between spaces where you're trying to figure out what you want to play. You're like, I want to play something that just I don't have to think about. And that sounds like one of those games. That's great.
Yeah,
Yeah, nice.
absolutely.
Oh my god, remember the squirrel balls? There were squirrel balls, Andrea. Do you remember these?
Were
Yes,
they balls
so-
or were they
So
squirrels?
that plays into the
I just realized how bad
the puzzle element a little bit. Is
I'm an adult.
you're trying to make squirrel balls happen, and I'm trying to cut you off.
Sorry.
Are you though? You're
No, I mean I didn't even realize like I was late to my own joke. Continue.
So it plays into the puzzle element that once you ramp up into these like 100 levels, the balls don't just sit on the table. They move around. So you have to kind of chase them. And in one level, part of the puzzle is knocking these two balls in, but they're not the traditional billiards balls. They are squirrels. And so it's like a ball with like a little tail, and they're up in these trees, and you have to, in order to get them to come down out of the trees, you have to knock the white ball, the cue ball, into this barbecue, which is in the middle of the map. And so then when you hit the barbecue, hamburgers fall off of it, and then the squirrels come down out of the tree to get the hamburgers, which is weird because
I was
squirrels
about to
don't eat
say squirrels
hamburgers.
don't eat hamburgers.
And then you have a
I'm
limited
Googling
amount of
this.
time while they're like munching on the hamburger to like knock them into the pocket. And it took me so many tries because they move around and yes. To get it in the hole.
Squirrels' diets consist primarily of a wide variety of plants, including nuts, seeds, conifer cones,
I love that
fruits,
you looked
fungi,
this
and green
up.
That's
vegetation.
fantastic.
However, some squirrels also consume meat, especially when faced with hunger.
Oh, damn.
Squirrels have been known to eat insects, eggs, small birds, young snakes, and smaller rodents.
Holy shit! I don't want to be anywhere where those squirrels are.
Hey, when you're hungry, you'll eat just about
Angry.
anything.
Squirrels might eat your face. That's what we've learned
And that-
today.
yeah, it kind of reminded me of when I play mini golf. It's like the first couple like whacks.
Yeah.
I try real hard, and then after that, you just get careless, and then you just like recklessly like that's what you were doing.
Yes, and they count how many times you hit in the game, and obviously the goal is to do it in as few strokes as possible. But
Yeah.
this whole game is just filled with innuendos,
With balls.
the sticks and
can't-
balls and holes and stuff.
And
having the
burgers.
best life right now. It's also worth noting that you can't die. You can't lose a level. You'll get achievements and stuff for like
Doing well.
after if you get it in after 3 whacks, you're good. Like that's a trophy, I'm sure.
Is it called Get It In?
Yes, Steimer. It's called Get It In. So, but there is off the rails. We're there. We're off the rails. We're the rails.
It's not called
the
Get It
rails.
In.
Are
We've
nowhere
never
in
had
sight.
rails. I could just,
It's true. The rails don't exist for this
Get
show.
it in, coming to
Limit does
Britt
not
also
exist.
played. Since we're talking about it, we're just going to talk about it now. Britt also played Bomb Chicken.
I did.
And I have to say how impressed I was with how quickly Britt picked up the mechanics of this game. Because if I had played, I would have just fumbled my way around. So what's Bomb Chicken, Britt?
It's the bomb chicken. So essentially, the story is that you are a chicken, Steimer, you'll love this, and you ate blue hot sauce that was oozing out of an idol,
Of course you did.
and now you can poop bombs out of your butt.
Bomb chicka bow
Yeah.
bow.
And so you just move left, right, and you lay bombs. And how the bomb mechanic works is you lay them, and the chicken like pops up. And so if you want to like get over a ledge, you have to lay 4 or 5 bombs. So it gives you enough like space to get over the ledge. You can kick the bombs. You basically you move left to right, and there are switches you have to hit to open your pathway. And you
It's like a little Metroidvania Bomberman mashup.
at the end of every level, well, maybe not the end, but there are gems that you collect during the level, and then you can cash those in for extra heart containers and stuff like that. And that demo ended right as I got to a boss. So there are like crazy bosses.
Oh
in
my
this game.
god. You got to poop on him?
I'd love to.
The chicken is fat, and I love it.
And he's pudgy.
Oh,
and
he's
It's a
adorable.
so
fat
cute.
chicken.
Yeah.
Do they have chicken skins? Like, can you like dress them up and like put little funny hats on your
This
chicken?
all made me so
Maybe.
hungry.
I
Chicken skins. It's like, yo, that's bomb chicken. I'm like,
Yeah, give me some bomb chicken.
Some bomb
okay. We'll go to
chickens.
Bonchon after this.
But yeah.
Coming
Coming this June, I thought it was cute, charming. I'd like to see more of it. Sounds like a simple little
crap.
game, like perfect for the Switch. All these little games.
Yeah, that sounds like something I would totally want to play on a
yeah,
plane.
yeah. Bomb
Yeah.
chicken.
So that's what we played. It was great. And let's move on to the next story, huh?
Yeah.
Sound good? Excellent. PUBG, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, goes live on mobile. So Polygon wrote this up. The mobile version is now available on iOS and Android in the United States for free, which is the first time that game has been free on any platform. Following last week's soft launch on the Canadian Google Play Store, 10 cents, PUBG Mobile will recreate the 100-player Battle Royale experience already available for Windows PC and Xbox One. The App Store description says the game, quote, perfectly recreates. The PC version includes
Jank
voice
and
chat
all?
for squad communication. I don't know if there's jank. I haven't played it yet.
Well, I'm gonna download it right now.
Additional mobile optimizations include the option to auto pick up items, aim assist, and a variety of on-screen controls, including steering and pedals for driving. Related, Polygon has said that the mobile version is excellent, full-featured, and just as tense as the original. And you guys can read their full thoughts over there. It does require iOS 9.0 or later and supports iPhones as far back as the iPhone 5S, though an iPhone 6 is recommended. This gives the game an advantage over Battle Royale competitor Fortnite Battle Royale, which launched on iOS last Wednesday, because it is only still in preview form and it's only on iOS. They obviously have an Android version coming quickly. It supports, it says, more than 500 different Android devices for PUBG, according to the Google Play listing, which recommends using a device running Android 5.1.1 Lollipop or later.
What?
So, it is worth noting that the game is just shy of 1 gigabyte. So,
Damn.
so it's a big game.
Dang,
But-
I'm gonna use
But
more space on my phone.
Hearthstone is like 3 gigabytes or something now. So
I don't have the Hearthstone.
I had to finally delete it from my phone because I was like, I'm not playing this and it's taking up a lot of space.
I thought this was pretty funny.
Yeah.
So a lot of people were getting their winner chicken dinners
Yeah.
on the PUBG mobile, and they're all excited. Like, I've never gotten this before. And then Kotaku's Heather Alexandra noted that she found a lot of characters in PUBG wearing just a red shirt, and that's far too common. Like, you don't just wear a red shirt. You know, you pick up other garb as you're playing PUBG and you get better gear.
Yeah.
And that one of the person in the red shirt stopped and shot all around her. So what they're thinking is that they're putting bots in with the game to like help
To auto-populate servers?
either auto-populate or just get people the chicken dinners and get that, you know, those good old feelings going. I mean, I don't know, but it
I don't
hasn't been
think it would be.
confirmed.
I don't think it would be
Really?
to like get people to win. That seems weird. If you were in like a whole game with mostly just bots, it'd be really strange.
Do you think
I
they'd
mean-
have to populate the servers though?
I
Do
mean,
you
you'd
think
have
that's a
to.
thing?
Yeah.
You'd have to get the whole 100 in. You'd have to do it.
You don't think there's
Yeah.
enough people
Yeah.
playing?
Yeah, it might be one of those things of like.
Yeah, but
you
I'm
don't
just saying,
know.
I don't think the motivation was like, let's get people chicken dinners. It was just like, we just need
Yeah,
the game to work.
we need people to be able.
We
to
don't
get
want
into the
people
match.
stuck in a matchmaking screen. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So once someone here speculate, designed to help new players get grips with the game.
I feel like if you do that, you have to put those people on the edges of the map, and then just let those folks get eaten by the circle anyway.
Yeah.
If that's the way you're gonna do it.
Oh, yeah,
if you
that's
need
true.
to,
Yeah,
if
well,
you need to build out and have that many people in the server to make it start, then
Yeah.
just put
How
them in the,
smart are these bots?
yeah.
Will they go to the new circle or
Do they
not?
know about chicken?
So if you're getting your
And
chicken
dinner.
dinners, don't get too
I don't know.
excited because you're probably
Hey,
winning
you
against
can be
bots.
excited
Wow,
if
you
you
can
want
be
to.
excited.
It doesn't matter if you're killing bots. You're killing something. Speaking of battle royale, Fortnite Mobile is killing it.
Yeah.
Over on IGN, they wrote up.
Oh my god.
iOS launched last week, and players spent $1 million on
No,
in-app
Andrea.
purchases within the first
$1 million.
I think it's
$1
sorry,
million.
I'm not gonna get too ticky tacky. 1.5 mil. Don't forget
Ticky-tacky.
the extra 500,000.
I said. Oh,
You said
I
1
said
mil.
in the no, hold on.
Oh.
Because I didn't finish reading my sentence.
Yeah, sorry, I cut
They
her off.
spent $1 million on in-app purchases within the first 72 hours.
Wow.
According to data from Sensor Tower, the game has raked in over $1.5 million worldwide so far, which is impressive considering the release has been limited to invite only on iOS. Sensor Tower also reports that based on cosmetic in-app purchases alone, Fortnite has grossed around a third of the revenue that Pokemon Go earned in its first 4 days on iOS. Niantic managed to make $4.9 million in 4 days, so Fortnite's numbers really aren't too shabby. The game also topped the iOS charts in 47 countries less than 24 hours after launch and ranked within the top 10 in 58 countries. Fortnite will be coming to Android eventually, but for now it's invite only on iOS. And Fortnite's biggest streamer, if you guys missed it, how could you have missed it? Tyler Ninja Blevins recently disclosed that he was earning around $500,000 a month and even featured Drake on one of his streams last week. So I watched all of that unfold and stayed up way too late past my bedtime. But it was crazy watching Twitter really just explode with commentary and support and lots of hot takes
My
about
God.
Drake and Ninja playing Fortnite.
I like
All
how
the
everybody was
takes.
impressed with, like, well, I didn't watch the stream, but I was watching Twitter basically react. And everyone being like, wow, Drake's actually like good at this game. You're like, what do you thought he was gonna come in and totally suck? Like, I don't think he would have offered to play with Drake or with Ninja if he was gonna make a fool of himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was good at the game, but bad at technology, from what I heard.
Yeah.
Oh snap!
Yeah, no,
I said it.
it
No,
definitely
just-
was a thing watching them trying to troubleshoot, but this is one of the technicalities that streamers face on an ongoing basis. I mean, we face technical
Yeah.
problems in this show
yeah.
all the time.
Same.
I do want to say like a big shout out to Epic's team for managing the server load,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
also to Twitch's team for managing their server load, because OMG, it could have been completely horrific. But I did hear reports from other streamers that Twitch clearly like pulled compression and bitrate and everything from a bunch of other channels to make sure that
accommodate
Ninja's channel
Ninja.
didn't go down.
Yeah.
So that kind of sucks for all the people who make a living.
Divert power.
It's messed
Yeah,
up.
literally.
messed
who make a living on Twitch and support that platform on a daily basis. And not to say that Ninja doesn't. Obviously, he's been streaming on the platform
Ninja's
for quite
like
some
making
time.
the bank for that whole fucking.
I was trying to
God.
stream
Man.
Lumines when they did this. My whole stream was screwed because of this. It's
Wait,
messed up.
really?
No, I'm just playing.
Oh, I was like, what?
I was
You know how badly
You
those
know how
blocks
hot
looked when I
that
was trying to
Luminous
play
stream
that?
is.
Oh
It's
my
messed
gosh.
up. All 0.5 people who are watching that.
But
yeah.
it's been a crazy ride seeing Fortnite go head to head with PUBG, and I think now it's clear that PUBG is coming in number
Number
two.
two. Yeah.
Number
Yeah.
two,
Which is
baby.
bananas to think about how many stories we talked about in 2017 about
my God.
PUBG just continuing to break their own records,
Yeah.
setting the new record, beating Dota for concurrence, and now Fortnite's like, oh hey, it's our turn now, and
Yeah.
it's kind of makes you think, is it ever going to, like, what's the end point? Like,
Yeah.
what's the cap out? Because like there's still so many people who haven't played it that are now just starting to hear about it, and their friends are playing it, and they're like, oh, that Fortnite thing. I saw that
Yeah.
streamer on CNBC or whatever, right? Like,
Oh,
by
I
the
heard
way,
Drake
it was an
plays it.
amazing
Drake's pretty cool.
It looks like, Fortnite is currently at number 1 in the action category with 54.6 thousand ratings. PUBG is at number 2 with 922 ratings.
I mean, it's
Man.
not.
Wait.
Wait,
54,000 ratings?
This is on Destructoid.
to
Yeah.
900 ratings?
922 ratings.
Wait,
I'm going to
on
verify
what?
this.
Crap.
Wow.
Are you on iOS or what are you talking about? What is
Yes,
that for?
yes.
Okay.
In the App Store. That is bonkers.
That's madness.
That's a giant gully.
Yeah.
Holy
It
crap.
I mean, it's
there's
weird,
4,000.
Well, I guess too
There's
because you have
4,000
like
ratings on.
Okay,
for
this
PUBG.
this is like a day old, so
Okay.
they probably have more now. But
Wow.
Still,
4,000.
still a giant difference. 4,000 to
4,000, yeah.
54,000.
I mean, how do you make up that ground, right? It's like both in numbers and in sentiment.
you give away free shit.
yeah.
True.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Like they had
Oh,
to
they
make
wait,
they
like
had to
chicken
make they had to make the mobile version free because they knew that no one was going to
one's
buy
gonna pay
it.
Yeah,
that.
sure.
But the
Hell
other
no.
thing, I just
Yeah.
think PUBG, the game, artistically like lacks a personality.
Right.
So it looks like every other generic shooter out there, whereas Fortnite is very unique, and you're like, oh, okay, I know what that is. I just think like PUBG's kind of like, it's not faded. It's still doing really well. Like
Yeah.
just to clarify, nobody thinks it's like going down the tubes,
Yeah.
but it's just fascinating to watch Fortnite like continually start to blow it out of the
Style
water.
sells in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
You see it all the time.
Well, and the team has been working on it for so many years, and we've talked about this on the show before. It's all about the polish. And that's so important for player retention because if the game is breaking in any way, if it's rubber banding, if it's the resolutions are popping in and out, if the frame rate's dropping, you're going to get people that are going to be turned off by that and aren't going to push through it and be like, I'm done.
Yeah.
And Fortnite doesn't have those issues
And Fortnite's
as
free.
widespread,
Yeah.
right? They still obviously have a few things because it's still technically in beta.
right.
Or is it
early
early access
Early
still?
access
Early
still.
access.
Man.
And so they're tweaking some systems, but like it runs so much better than PUBG in so many ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more welcoming in a lot of ways. It's just
Yeah.
like it's easy to get in, easy to get out. You don't feel that bad when you lose. And when you feel like you've lost time in it, it doesn't feel like that time was for naught.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
We're gonna get Kaz deeper thoughts on Fortnite in the next segment, but just wanted to talk about those stories because it's been a big week for both of the Battle Royale games on mobile, and we have been playing a little bit of Fortnite on mobile because we very gratefully got some codes from Epic. Thank you very much.
Woot.
And so we'll be talking about that in the next section. Speaking of Epic, they're giving away $12 million worth of Paragon game assets for free. So in a post on the Unreal Engine website, it says, quote, 20 AAA quality characters with their respective skins, animations, VFX, and dialogue, along with over 1,500 environment components from Paragon, are now available for free in the Unreal Engine marketplace. Epic said developers can, quote, use them in your own UE4 projects with no strings attached, end quote. So we may see the cast of Paragon returns someday in an Unreal Engine-powered fighting game or a dating sim.
Ooh. I
And,
like the dating sim.
I would love
That
that.
would be fantastic.
OMG.
Let's make our own. Can we work with Unreal Engine? Do we know how to do this?
No, it's beyond me.
I
If
got
you
shotgun.
are
I believe
an
in you
Unreal
all.
Engine developer out there,
I believe in you. I believe you. Don't set ceilings. I believe in you.
we could maybe make a creative brief and someone can write it. I don't know.
Perfect.
Write
do
the
it.
code, I mean. So this is really awesome. I'm really happy that Epic is not sending all of those amazing characters to die because Con and I spent so many hours playing
That's
Paragon
how we
together.
met.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, we met before that, but like that's how we got real
You
cool.
bonded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I wondered though, because we've heard all these conversations about what happens to all the assets when it goes now. And now that it's there, do you think that someone might take up the reins and like build something, build the MOBA that people wanted?
We talked about this briefly. I really hope so. I would
Yeah.
love to see somebody like remake it. And now that the assets are available, like I want Paragon to live on. And it just is all about who from the community has the time or is going to put in the energy to actually making it. But I mean, I use Dota as an example of like, look where that game came from, a fan made thing.
Right.
And now it's one of the most successful games in the world with the largest esports tournament in history. And I don't ever think Paragon's going to hit that level,
Sure.
but you never know.
Yeah.
You never know. Maybe a fan will get it right.
Oh, I was
Epic
so
just
good.
kept Epic just kept iterating,
yeah.
and they
They're
just
like,
couldn't
it's
make up
not
their
quite
mind.
right. Let's do the whole. Let's
Yeah.
throw this batter out and make a new cake.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, no, legacy.
It was fine. Leave it alone.
We'll eat the batter. It's okay.
Leave it alone.
Doesn't need to be done fully.
Oh man, I just
Yeah.
want someone to bring the dunk back.
If they, I mean, well, that's a whole other show. That's a whole other show. But yeah, I hope somebody like takes it up and
Dunkaroos?
does something well with it, because
Ooh, Dunkaroos.
there's so much really good stuff in that pot that they can definitely pull from and make Epic more money on the back end. That would be the funny thing. It's like someone goes and makes it, use the assets, and then they still make money off the thing that they just
There
dropped.
you go.
I mean, yeah,
Hey.
if it's in Unreal.
Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be nuts.
So did you ever have like a sliver of hope that Paragon wouldn't get shut down?
No. Yeah, you
Oh,
did.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was weird because the way that everything kind of worked towards the end of it, they were going in a good direction, but they just had a lot of missteps in terms of like how they wanted to push things back out. And the foundation of that game is still really good. Like, it's beautiful. It's smartly done. They had a really good community that was there ready to play it, and it just wound up going away. It wound up going away to the game that was better. So it's not like you have like
Sure.
bad things about that.
So when the assets were released, where you're like, all right, it's done.
I was like, oh yeah,
This is
Oh,
it.
I was like,
thinking
oh, that's
you knew
done.
it was done when they announced it was done.
I haven't played it since they announced that it was done.
Oh, okay.
And that's the weird thing, because now it's when's the day that it comes? When does it drop?
April 26th.
April 26th. Rip. I'm
in
just
peace.
like, do we want to play that one more time before it ends to like get that last
One
game
last
in?
hurrah.
Like see the server shut down and then cry.
That's
Oh,
what. That's how
you should
it-
play it. It's like a up to midnight sort of a thing.
Yeah,
where it's
yeah.
like a New Year's, and you're
Have
like,
our
all right,
Paragon
up until
Matrix
it goes
Online
down.
thing.
Yeah, that's when Asheron's call shut down. That's what I did. Is we took the day off and we just played till the servers went down.
Yeah.
And then I was super bummed
And then
out
you
for like
cry.
2 days.
Kyle, we got to
cried.
do that. We got to throw a Paragon party.
should.
We gotta do it and we gotta stream it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I'm
Yeah.
in.
I'm down. Okay.
I'll watch and I'll drink.
Pull my Terra out.
We'll get the crew together. Oh yeah, you didn't even get that much time to play with her.
I was trying to master Terra and they were like, I'm taking this away from you. I have beef.
Can you just like stack all of the boosts?
Maybe maybe. I
'Cause
know.
you can buy everything
Well,
in the store is one reputation.
I forgot about that. Yes, I can probably buy my master skin with the reputation. Oh, it's so cheap. It's like
Yeah.
getting a chicken dinner with a red
It's kind of
With the
with
bot.
a red bot.
and we both submitted for refunds and got our refunds back, which
Hey.
like I don't feel bad about it because
Yeah.
Epic makes so much money.
Yeah.
I remember when they announced that they were doing that, and some people on Games Daily had wrote in and were like, I can't believe that you submitted for a refund. Don't
Oh.
you want to support the devs and the art that they did? And I was like, yeah, I do. But turns out Epic doesn't need my like $80 or whatever.
Nope.
No,
also- but,
Epic
like,
is doing just fine.
Epic is balling right now.
Yeah.
They talked about it in the presser today. That was just about Epic Games have made, or things that have been using the Unreal Engine has made at least $1 billion in the Steam store.
Yeah.
Wow.
this
And
past
like
year.
they would have never offered the refund if they couldn't have afforded it financially.
And
Right.
it's fantastic for their customer support. That's customer service
They
beyond
are building
customer service.
community with
That's
that move.
building community. Exactly. That's totally building community. So people who are mad at that makes no sense.
We're looking
Yeah.
for some sponsors. Epic Games.
Word.
I mean, I know you're tight on money.
Cause like, hey,
Word.
I'm here too.
Best Greystone on the planet.
There you go.
I will take that money.
I can attest. He's a great Greystone.
Aw.
So I'm glad that you brought up Epic's State of Unreal. So that happened at GDC this morning, and you attended, and they had some kind of cool Fortnite news.
Oh, they dropped some really good Fortnite news. They are finally getting the replay editor into the game, and it's coming soon from what they said. And it looks fantastic. You can kind of see where they're going in terms of what are we going to do next? And it sounds like sports with an E in front of it.
Nah, sports.
Yeah, a sports.
Sports.
Sports. So that's going to be cool. It's really robust. It looks like you can move around, change camera angles like you could in Paragon. Change kind of the way you want things to be filtered out and kind of pull things back and forward. So make it really cinematic for sharing all those wonderful non-chicken dinners that you get. So, yeah.
How
it'll be
fast
real
did
cool.
it look like you could put that together?
It looks I mean, from what it looked like, it looks like it'll be something that you'll be able to jump into really quickly, figure out even small shots that you want to kind of pull off and be able to do that. I don't know how the exporting of any of that stuff looks like yet, because they didn't talk about that. They just talked about what you'll be able to do fairly quickly, how you want to shoot some of your shots, and kind of the robustness of what they'll be able
Do you have
to
to be
have.
done with the match for you to use those
Yes.
skills? Because I would think in an esports setting, it's a little different.
I think
right?
that they'll have a different version for if they ever
they'd
do
have to make
esports.
a modded version for that.
But like for the home consumer version of it, yeah, I think you'll probably have to be out of your match.
That
and
makes
then be
sense
able to
for
go
like
back into
for
it.
average person.
Pull some replays together for yourself and then just put it on Twitter.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what the community does with it.
Oh,
So I'm just always continually amazed and impressed by how creative people get with that kind of stuff. And I think with the wide range of assets and characters that are in Fortnite right now, and they're only adding more and more, that we're going to see some really cool stuff. So looking forward to that. Did they give a release date for that?
they said soon.
Just soon.
Just soon.
Trademark.
Soon trademark.
Okay. Well, I guess we will update you once we hear more soon. One more story, and then we will talk to about some hands-on stuff. And this is kind of a big thing. So, Star Wars Battlefront 2, a game that we talked so much about last year in a lot of, unfortunately, negative ways, has a big story, and I'm going to read this from Polygon. They made a system update to their progression, and it's a complete revamp. So, obviously, the controversy was about the microtransactions and the pay-to-win items from the loot crates. They then pulled the microtransactions down and announced that they were going to be bringing them back, but they are changing how players upgrade weapons, heroes, and ships. Now, the biggest difference between the current and the upcoming versions of the progression system involves star cards, the stat buffing items that players acquire through random loot crates. Once the update hits, players will no longer have to sift through crates in order to collect these necessary boosts. Freudian slip, maybe. They'll be able to trade in experience points collected through multiplayer for skill points, which in turn can be spent on star cards to unlock or upgrade a character, weapon, ship, or class in a linear fashion. This is good news for players who found the loot crate system to be limiting even after EA removed the real-world monetary prizes attached to crates one day ahead of launch. With crates as the only way to unlock stat boosts, players found themselves having to build up a sizable amount of credits or crystals, the in-game currencies, in order to buy more. That could take a lot of time to do, but now players don't have to worry about spending any currency at all to get their loot crates. EA said that not only will crates no longer include star cards, but they will also not be available to purchase with real-world or in-game funds. Players will instead receive crates in a variety of other ways, including as daily login bonuses and rewards for finishing certain milestones or challenges. The crates will only contain credits, emotes, or other cosmetic items, so nothing directly gameplay related. Costumes or appearances still won't be among the random loot crate drops, however, but another update in April will give players the opportunity to buy different looks for their characters through an in-game store using either credits or crystal to do so. EA has said more is on the way with the big March 21 progression update, which is this week today. We're recording. It's March 21st.
Yeah.
Update for the first of many content changes in the works for Battlefront 2. Saying, quote, in addition to the continued balance patches, we will also add a number of modes to Star Wars Battlefront 2 in the coming months, offering several standout brand new ways to play, the company said in a news release. Some of these, like the recently released limited time jetpack cargo, are radically different than anything you've experienced in the game before, and we're excited to surprise you with what we have planned.
Also, they unlocked all of the game's heroes, so you don't have to pay to win to get those guys either. They didn't announce that at that time that the article was written, but that's another thing they've done.
God damn, that was a lot of words.
I know.
I mean,
right?
Damn, that was a lot to
Also-
back the train up.
Yeah, I know,
Ooh.
right? They're like, oh, this is how we probably should have done it the whole time.
I just think talking about microtransaction systems in general is head spinning because so many games that include microtransactions or loot crates have multiple types of currencies, and it gets so confusing so quickly. And I'm like, why? Why don't you just have one currency? I don't understand why it's so hard.
feel
It's
like
so
Because
hard.
you can't if you have actual real world.
I know,
money.
Steimer, but I'm just saying.
I feel like that whole
The
piece of
economics.
red should have had yakety sax playing underneath it. Like that whole thing should have just literally had that playing.
Oh
underneath
man, I feel like the nail is in the coffin, ladies and gentlemen. This
Oh,
story can come
man.
to a close.
It. Wow, that's a lot of stuff just to be like, nah, we're remixing.
We're taking the loot
remix.
crates out. You can't buy them. That's well, they're not taking out. You can take out the ability to purchase. Insane.
I think they're desperately trying to regain ground that they have lost, and I think it's impossible.
Yeah.
I think people who
The
have
game's
left
tarnished.
the game are gone. They're
Yeah.
not coming back.
Yeah.
There is still a sizable amount of people who are playing that game who have a
I
lot
wonder
of
what
fun with
their
that
daily
game.
active users are.
I do too. That would be a really interesting thing.
Yeah, I'm
doubt
not
they'll
sure.
ever release that number.
They're definitely never gonna tell us. But I have some friends who are still playing it and who still really enjoy it. We've had people write into the show talking about how they really like some of the modes in the game. And even
I
though
want dance battle robot mode. Where's that?
I don't know.
I wonder too. Do you feel like, and this is a controversial thing, but do you feel like there's Star Wars game fatigue? Even though they don't come out that often, the ones that do come out aren't that great.
Because they shut down Visceral Studios.
Well, that too.
I don't think so. I have publicly stated I thought Star Wars fatigue was going to be real, and it doesn't seem to be. It seems like Star Wars fans can't get enough.
Yeah.
Which is shocking to me because there's been so much Star Wars stuff, especially with the new series of films.
Yeah.
And now they have a new TV series
But I
that's
feel like they're
coming.
never
and-
satisfied.
No.
And
never.
so it's like maybe it's like one of those things where you're like, man, I really want like this one meal, but then like you get
eat
like a little
everything,
bit of
yeah.
it, and then it's just like it's not satisfying,
It's
and so
kind
like
of
you
how
want another, and then like kind of
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of how I feel about chocolate chip cookies.
Oh.
Star Wars fans feel about Star Wars.
We just all stopped and
We just
reminisced
all
on
stopped.
chocolate chip cookies. Like,
I never
Cookies.
turned down chocolate chip cookies.
No, that
I would
sounds
never
really
turn
good.
down a chocolate glazed donut.
oh, you are just evil. That was mean. I want that now.
It was
Oh, no, no,
delicious.
'Cause I
had one
want
this
it.
morning.
You're teasing
love
him.
it.
She did. She forced me to eat some.
Did you?
No,
I
she
feel
didn't-
like-
she
I held
didn't-
her.
She didn't force me.
Have we?
I volunteered willingly.
Give me the donuts, please.
I want to donut. Have we? For me, like there hasn't been a Star Wars games that I've wanted to play. Like I just want something like probably what
I
Visceral
wanted
was
to play
working
the
on.
one they canceled.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, kind
And
of.
so I wonder.
know, right?
Right, that's what I want. So for me, like there's no fatigue because I haven't been interested in anything. So I'm wondering
Yeah, it's fair.
Just
if
want
we'll
that
ever
Amy
get the
Hennig
game we're all looking for.
I'm hoping against hope that somebody is going to take the assets from Amy's game and make something.
Yeah.
So I don't know who or when or what. I mean, because look what EA did to Star Wars 1313, you know, but
Just drop
it would be great. Yeah, I was excited. I was really excited for the campaign in Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
and I enjoyed my time with it, but it did not hit the way that I wanted it to. It clearly had a lot of issues.
you wanted a chocolate chip cookie and you got a raisin cookie instead.
Oh.
It wasn't that bad. That
No,
is
that's like the worst affront you could possibly have.
I saw that.
I called it the devil's work. Oatmeal raisin cookies are the devil's work.
Oh, they are.
They need to go away forever.
I agree with you 100%.
Who makes
I
these?
am not listening to this. This is slander. This
I'm sorry.
Are
You
you-
like
are you a
oatmeal
raisin
raisin
man?
cookies?
oatmeal raisin cookies are dope.
Ew,
John
get
also
out.
really
you are
likes oatmeal
immediately
cookies.
uninvited from this podcast.
There's the
so
door.
good.
Let's
Be
put
gone.
shriveled grapes in my cookies, said someone stupid.
It's not like I was like, eat prune cookies.
You may as well have.
Raisins, they're sweet.
You like prune cookies?
They're
Hell
gross.
no.
You do now.
It's like people were like, I love cucumbers, and people are like, I hate cucumbers, but you love pickles though, don't you? Yeah.
Because pickles are amazing.
Because pickles are dope.
And so are
and
cucumbers.
and so
I
are
eat
oatmeal
both,
raisin
yeah.
cookies.
Oatmeal raisin cookies can die in a fire.
It's true.
They taste better when they're made in fire.
I
Oh, damn it.
tolerate raisins and trail mix only because there's M&Ms in there
Ew,
too.
no, I throw those raisins away. I
Me
literally
too.
just like throw them
Oh,
out.
this is
These are
unreasonable.
compostable. It's fine.
No, I'm not a
It's
raisin fan
unreasonable.
myself. I don't eat raisins.
I wouldn't eat raisins in the box just straight though, because that's gross.
But you put them in a cookie and you're good.
Then it's dope. 'cause
Okay,
it's
does it
like,
have to
Ugh,
be
no, the
oatmeal?
textures. Ugh.
Does it have to be oatmeal?
I like oatmeal. I had to
mean-
learn to like oatmeal.
Okay.
I had
was-
to learn to like
I
oatmeal.
did.
No,
That
no.
was
Sorry, my
There was
question
there was
is,
a progression.
if you took a chocolate chip cookie and replaced the chocolate chips with prunes or raisins, would you like it, or does it have to be oatmeal with the raisin?
Oh.
See,
No.
see how deep is your love for prunes?
No one likes prunes.
Prunes are not grapes.
No.
No.
But if you put
they are
dates
not.
They're
in those
shriveled,
cookies, then it's
shriveled
different.
grapes. But you know what I mean? Though?
Dates are good.
Dates are good, but with bacon on them. Yeah.
Dates can be good, yes.
Okay.
If
You
they've
talk
got
about food
goat
a lot.
cheese
Sorry.
inside
Me
and
too.
wrapped in
I'm down
bacon.
for that.
I mean,
Yes.
I just like them in my smoothies and in my almond milk that I make.
Prunes are plums, though, for the record. You know that, right,
Yeah.
Brittany?
Yeah.
She knows.
Okay.
Devil's
I think.
fruit.
If not, she knows now.
The devil's
No, I'm like, what?
My
I'm here.
All right, let's stop talking about food.
Okay, we
Yes.
definitely got off track. So that's going to wrap it up for our news segment. There were a couple of other things that happened this week. I just want to give a one-line like shout out that Ubisoft finally gave the bird to Vivendi and was like, goodbye, get out of here. So finally, that is done. Ubisoft has successfully gotten Vivendi out of its hair. The gaming publisher and multimedia conglomerate have agreed to a deal in which Vivendi will fully divest itself of Ubisoft, ending once and for all a years-long effort by Vivendi that was seemingly intended to take control of Ubisoft. So glad to hear that is done.
So
I
apparently,
just imagine it like, yeah, never mind. I'm not gonna. It's dumb.
okay.
But yeah,
I don't want to.
I'm glad for you. Good for you, Ubisoft.
Britt, did you have something you would like to say?
Ark Survival Evolved is heading to the Switch, but and
dinosaur
I'm
game.
really happy. Do you like Ark? Are you a fan?
I never played it.
Okay, so the thing I have is I've tried this game multiple times, and every time I play it, it's buggy, it's slow, it lags. How the hell is this going to run on the Switch? Unless it's like a much.
I have no idea.
Sorry, that's all.
They
No,
they
it's a good
showed that
point.
during the State of Unreal thing too.
So
and
the
I was like,
dinosaur
I don't
models
understand
are replaced with toy dinosaur models.
Oh, that makes
so
sense.
like Toy Story. Think that T-Rex guy.
Oh yeah, the green guy. What's his name?
that. I totally
don't
swear that you were going to say
remember.
they got replaced by raisins.
You have to look it up now. We were going to talk about Sea of Thieves, but we haven't gotten a chance to play it yet because the game went live during GDC.
What's up with
His
that?
name is literally Rex.
But they they like all multiplayer games, I feel like except Call of Duty are having server launch issues
Yeah.
because of course they
Call
are.
of Duty had launch issues too.
Wait, what was that?
I said Call of Duty has launch issues.
They do, but I feel like Call of Duty's issues are relatively minor compared to a lot of other
I think
developers.
this last one was super broken. Like people
Was
couldn't,
it?
couldn't matchmake. Well, it was not necessarily like you couldn't get on servers, but you couldn't matchmake with anybody.
I'm trying to think of
Wow.
the last game that came out that had a big launch with multiplayer in it that did well, like off the
That didn't botch it.
that didn't
That
botch
weren't
it.
like
Does that ever happen?
Yeah.
Overwatch, maybe?
Huh? Overwatch maybe.
Oh, yeah.
But they were in beta for a long time.
True.
So I don't know if that really counts.
I
Makes
mean,
sense.
it does because they did a proper beta and tested, and then we're like, "This is how many things we need."
No, but like the beta like was rolling. It wasn't like a limited
Wait,
time and then it like shut off. Like Sea of Thieves had like a weekend
Yeah.
and then they had
Overlook-
another weekend.
Or I almost said Overlook.
Yeah, that's true. They did have a lot of
Overwatch
testing.
did
Yeah.
have
They
those
did a
weekends
lot of
though
tests
for a while.
actually.
They did, but they had a
And then
large
they did-
they had
and
a
then they did
large
it,
group
yeah.
of people who were playing ongoing though
Mm.
that had access. It wasn't like they turned all the servers off.
Goodbye.
But anyway,
Yeah.
I don't know. It would be great if somebody could launch a multiplayer game and not botch it. But I think the recurring theme is always more people are going to play than you think.
No.
And there's no way to be as prepared as you possibly can because you just don't know who's going to get in day one when it goes live. So this is why pre-ordering is important.
But also,
I've talked about this before. And I'm not saying you have to pre-order. I'm just saying it's one of the tools that developers use to try to gauge how many people are going to be in their servers if they have a multiplayer game.
they should just make a Facebook event and have everybody RSVP to it.
Oh my gosh, I love you.
I wonder though. That's
These
actually
clips
really,
are so good,
you got
Steimer.
that, you got that one. I wonder though. I wonder how many people
love you.
stayed away from ordering it and pre-ordering it because they did it on Game Pass. I wonder if that's a thing.
Yeah, definitely.
totally.
100% a thing.
Yeah. That backfired, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, see.
Maybe.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
Talk more about that in the next segment.
Yeah, the initial reports are that the content is a little light. And by light, I mean there's not very much content, which is frustrating because you hope that when you launch a game and they're charging people $59.99, that there would be some content there.
Yep.
More booty,
Unless
please.
they're like, yes, technically you could pay $59.99, but who's gonna do that? They're all gonna get it off Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
Still, that's
Yeah.
bull.
No, I know.
No,
I mean, but that was
yeah,
the thing we
I
were
know
worried
you know.
about forever,
Girl, I know that you
right?
do,
Yeah.
I know
It
that
was
you know.
like, oh, we played the beta, we played the online test, and what else are you gonna do besides make noises as a pirate
Yeah.
and then do other stuff?
And throw up.
Yeah.
That's so why Luigi
That was totally
pirate.
not a pirate noise.
That was
I
why
gave you
Luigi
old
Oh, that was
gangster
a weird
noise.
cat.
Parrot noise, maybe?
I hit you back with the old gangster noise. Yeah.
Yeah, she's there.
Oh my
Totally
gosh.
not pirate.
So I think I'll make a
I'm
black and white.
actually going to end the segment now.
Okay,
For
let's
real.
do
We
it.
can
For
keep
real
going,
this time,
girl. You guys. All right, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we are going to talk about what we have been playing, and I'm going to talk about God of War. It's gonna be
God of
great.
War.
We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. It is time for the hands-on segment of the show where we talk about what we have been playing. And we have quite a list of things. We did talk quite a bit about the Nintendo stuff already, so we don't really need to go over that again. But Britt and I also here at GDC went to the ID at Xbox showcase. So they do this every single year. Well, at least in recent memory, since they started the ID at Xbox program, where they bring some of their featured independent developers to the Xbox One loft space here in downtown San Francisco, and we got to play some cool things. One of the games that I saw there that I really thought looked interesting and amazing is called Harold Halibut. So this game, Todd, do you know about this game?
Yeah.
Are you a fish? Because if you're not, I'm going to be real disappointed.
No, it's a handmade adventure game, all built around animation that was designed in claymation first.
Oh.
So what's really cool about it, it has that very claymation, stop motion animation art style because they literally hand modeled all of the characters in the game with clay, and then they scanned the characters and then brought them into animating software.
Looks cool.
Yeah.
It looks super funky.
The visual style of it is so well done, and it's a really kind of a wacky concept. So the idea is that some kind of catastrophe has happened, an apocalypse has happened,
of course,
on Earth, and then you've been sent into space, and you've traveled like 250 light years away or something like that, and you're like on this new planet, or maybe Earth is still there. I don't remember.
Some shit has gone down.
I don't think
but like you're on this
went
weird
bad.
planet, and then you're in this space station type thing that kind of feels like a giant submarine, and you are this guy who's like
his name is Harold Halibut.
yeah, exactly. And it's kind of got that like walk around adventure, like you have to go talk to people and figure out and do some puzzle solving, and
Like Life is Strangey kind of, but without all the crazy mechanics.
but it's not 3D like Life is Strange.
No, but like
It's-
how
it's
you walk
two-
around
it's
and you interact.
side-scrolling,
And,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
But it's interesting. It's a very heavily narrative based, of course, because it's an adventure game. So there's not like a lot of hard game mechanics to learn or anything like that. But what did you think of it?
Art style was gorgeous. I was really taken aback because they had at the day of the devs, they had a small kind of like mock-up of the actual like figure that you were using in the game. And it was really cool. It was just like something I hadn't seen before and seen someone try, which was interesting to see them go that route.
Now
That's
this-
really hard. Stop
Yeah.
motion is really difficult to do.
This game hasn't come out for a long time. I think he said next summer.
Yeah.
I think is what he said because, obviously it looked rough, obviously, in the writing and it was all wonky, but I think it's freaking cool.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. Things like that, you want to see people take chances. And
Yeah.
it's nice to see someone do that with this game.
When you guys say it's an adventure game, what do you mean? Because I think traditional adventure game and like combining shit in your inventory and making like, so do you have that, or is it just
I didn't see an inventory. Well, actually, maybe there was an inventory. I don't remember. Well,
I don't remember seeing that either. I just saw them kind of walking through the scenes and kind of interacting with other characters.
but it's literally in the subtitle of the game. It's a handmade adventure game.
but that doesn't
Are you getting on your adventure game high horse over
Kind
there,
of.
being like,
Yeah, a little bit.
excuse me,
like actually
I'm
if
the
I
queen
push
of
my
Monkey
glasses
Island.
up-
I will determine if you are an adventure
Are
game
you
or
an
not.
adventure game? I don't know. Let's ask Mr. Ron Gilbert or Mr. Tim Schafer.
Oh.
I
Okay.
think this is an adventure game. It felt like an adventure game when I was playing it.
So this is from the website. Dive into this adventure as curiosity will guide you through a spaceship wreck on an unknown planet made of water. When one of the lead scientists still on board tries to unriddle the possibility of a relaunch, young janitor Harold is around to assist her. Join Harold in his clumsy undertakings to stir up the Ark-like ship's stale day-to-day life and find the secrets that lie behind its doors. Underwater atmosphere, self-reflective humor, and contemporary adventure mechanics make up the foundation of this game.
Contemporary adventure mechanics. I see what they did there.
God damn it, Steimer.
No, it's good because I basically I
all
just,
about the semantics.
no, what I want to know, I want to know how it plays, and so in my head, I'm thinking when you say adventure game, I think something very specific. Doesn't sound like it's this what the type that I am talking about. Not to say I think this will be interesting, and I'll definitely play
It
it.
felt like a lot of walking around and talking to people.
Yeah.
That to me is adventure game.
To me, that's yeah, you walk around and talk to people, but it's all about like picking up everything you can. It's all about like trying to figure out combinations and like what weird puzzle this might solve. Like, Obviously a good example for Monkey Island is like a rubber chicken with a pulley in the middle, and you're like, the fuck do I use this for? And so just like weird shit like that is what I think of. But this seems like it's a little contemporary.
Yeah, it wasn't the best game. Andrea mentioned this when she was playing it, to play on the show floor or in the place, because there are a lot of people like hovering and you want to look at everything, because there was a lot to look at, and I think really appreciate the writing and humor. But
I hate playing games on show floors in general for that reason. Like it's just really crowded. It's like sometimes if they don't have good headphones, it's hard to really immerse yourself in what you're doing. I remember it was this E3 and we were playing Tacoma. And I was like, this is not a great place to try and play this,
They
even
had
with the
Tacoma
headphones.
at this event last year at GDC.
Yeah, I'm just like, this isn't doing your game any favors.
Yeah, it's tough because there's other media that are waiting in line to play, and if there's any kind of puzzle elements whatsoever, you just kind of get a little flustered because people are like standing over you, watching you
Judging
play,
you.
and being like, "Oh, I'm watching you like screw it up in real time." But what I like, obviously, the thing that's the standout here is the art style. The art style is amazing, and the idea that this is the 3 modelers that worked on this game had never done claymation before.
Whoa.
What?
Yeah,
That's madness.
They just modeled
really?
with computers?
I'm not sure what they did before, but I asked, I said, I was talking to the developers that were there about this art style and how they created it. And when I saw how beautiful it looked, I was like, have they worked on other claymation projects before? Because it seemed like obviously they must have.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, this was their first time doing the clay modeling for this type of a project. And I was like, that is bonkers. It looks awesome.
Yeah, if you go to haroldhalibut.com, they have videos of them like making the characters.
Oh my
and stuff.
God, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Talk about jumping in with both feet, right?
Yeah.
Go into game development and do that at the same time. That's unreasonable, but it's great. How they're doing it. That's cool.
So it's you guys can check it out, haroldhalibut.com, just like it sounds, the word Harold, the word halibut.com, and you can watch some behind the scenes videos of them making clay stuff. So that was really cool. Britt, did anything leave a lasting impression on you from the ID at Xbox?
I got to play Vermintide 2. Have you played Vermintide?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, so you appreciate this.
Warhammer.
Well, end times, Vermintide. So I played this not that long ago on Xbox One, and it made me kind of sick when I played it. I feel you too, because it was in the PC version, and then when it got ported over to console, maybe something didn't get fixed. So I was really
did something to the frame rate, I'm guessing.
Something happened. I don't know what happened. So I was really happy to see it at the event, that it was smooth. It looked like butter. It was real pretty, and they're making some changes to the game that I'm really excited about with progression, talents, and
Remind me what this is, because I'm very
This is the one where I said the level design is like sex.
But that doesn't help me.
No, I'm trying to start the spark of remembrance in your mind. It's so you have a team of 4 people. It's co-op. You can play with bots if you want, and it's kind of like Left 4 Dead. But my mic's all wonky. But like Left 4 Dead, but medieval. And so the level design is like you go through dungeons or castles or the woods or whatever. So it looks real pretty.
Yeah,
looks real pretty. I can't wait for it to come to console.
Yeah.
Yay, Fat Shark. Hurry up, please.
It looks really good in a way that I didn't remember even the PC having. I mean, PC, of course, is going to look better, but it looked really sharp for what they had shown.
Yeah.
This was surprising.
And I asked them, like, when's it coming to console? And they're like, well, we self-publish, so whenever we think it's good enough. I was like, all right.
Did they talk like that?
I mean, no. They had really cool accents.
They were actually very nice.
Oh,
Dope
yeah,
socks.
they know me and I know them. They're great people.
And they gifted us some socks.
Socks are great.
And
Socks?
boxer briefs.
Socks were dope.
Yes.
We got boxer briefs.
Yeah.
No, I love the team at Fat Shark.
I mean,
They're
I'll take the
fantastic.
boxer
I just want their
briefs
game
too,
real
but-
bad.
They're a large. They'd be too big for you.
That's okay. Never mind. I'll use like a pin, a safety pin to pin tighter.
You
Put
don't
some
wanna
Synax in
metal
the
against
crotch
your
area.
skin. Come on.
Sure don't.
Yeah. No one wants that. Pin in your underwear? That's too hazardous.
Pin in your drawers. Goddamn.
They had a bunch of other games there. They also had a game called War Grooves, I believe it was.
Yes, Wargroove.
So this game, we didn't actually get to play War Groove because he spent so much time explaining the mechanics. I was like, we had such a limited amount of time to walk around the Xbox space. I was like, this sounds way too difficult for me to just like pick up and play in like a 10-minute sit down.
What type is it?
So go ahead, Britt.
That was awesome. So if you've played something like Fire Emblem before, like it was easy for me to understand what was going on because I played games like that.
Light strategy turn-based game.
Got it.
So top down. You look at like a map. It's got like each character has like a grid system, and it very much is like a mashup of a couple different types of strategy games. So it's the art style is
it's
a
very,
little bit like
cartoony art style.
Yeah, it's kind of 16-bitty sort of.
Yeah.
They have an interesting collection of characters. There will be a commander. There will be 12 different commanders at launch. They're kind of like the elite unit. And then they have a whole slew of like different types of units you can build out your team with, of course. They have a little bit of a base building element in the sense that you have these different little cities and these buildings that you have to guard and that you obviously want to take down your opponents. The matches, he said, are, if you go really quickly, could be as short as 10 minutes, but generally they're 20 to 30-minute matches. It supports up to 4-player multiplayer, PvP, and co-op.
He would not confirm if the campaign itself would be co-op, though. He said he wasn't ready to talk about that. But
there was just and there will be a custom campaign builder where you can like build out your own maps in characters and things like that. There was just so much information that I kind of glazed over a little bit. I was like, there's too much.
It was the same look when we talk about Final Fantasy 15 all the time.
But he was so enthusiastic about talking about it. I was like, I can't process it all. I need like a fact sheet with all of the info. But it looked really
just
interesting.
like a really good tutorial.
Yeah.
That probably is best.
I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a fun game to play with friends, strategize, because like she was saying, you have the top-down map, you have these cities, and then if you control a city, you get money at the beginning of every turn, and then you use that money to buy new troops.
And it's like Risk. You
gotta
conquer the world.
Conquer the world.
Pretty
and the
much,
troops don't follow you through each match. You can have dogs.
Don't?
No, so that was an interesting part of it. None of the things that you unlock are persistent. It's locked to that match. So you earn money and you spend money within the match only. So
that makes sense.
Yeah,
Okay.
so if you unlock certain units within your gameplay, so like let's say you earn a bunch of money, you can unlock a bunch of different types of units. You can only play with them in that match.
So it's
and
like
then
MOBA
everything
matches,
goes back to zero
but
at the end.
strategy instead.
Yeah.
In that sense.
Think of it that way.
Like you start over every MOBA match.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, but
I'm wrapping my head around this.
It has the same sort of feel like a Fire Emblem game. You have
I've
like
never played a Fire Emblem.
Type A, which is weak against Type C, but strong against Type B, and you can have like a bunch of you have dogs in the game, and if you have 2 dogs next to each other, they're stronger because they're in a pack, and then they can do certain specific things.
The unit is literally called the Doggo, and it looks like a corgi with armor on.
Yeah.
Oh
It's
my
amazing.
god, a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
it's really cute.
That's just too damn cute.
He needs to make a plushie of it.
So they're weak in attack power, but they have more mobility, so that their range on the map is like the most amount of squares. And they're effective in a pack. So double
but
dogs
if
do
they're
double
corgis,
damage.
they wouldn't really be able to move that fast.
No, it's true.
Trip you.
I didn't say they move fast; they move far.
Yeah.
They have a lot of
That's
range.
what I meant to say. I
Yeah.
didn't mean to say fast. I meant to say far.
But anyway, we saw that game and it looks really neat. I'm gonna try to see if I can find what the release date is for that war group.
He should have called it War Doggos. The whole every troop should be dogs.
I think it just says 2018.
Okay.
I just made his game way better.
Developed and published by
War Doggos.
Chucklefish, by the way, so you might
Oh,
know them.
Chucklefish.
Yeah,
Chucklefish.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I see a headline here that says Wargroove wants to be the Stardew Valley of strategy games.
I saw that too. I was like,
So that maybe gives you a
AKA,
little bit of
I just want to be successful.
Well, I think if you think about the art style of Stardew Valley, that's like that's what Wargroove looks like for everybody listening who's having trouble visualizing what this game is. It kind of has that feel to it. But a lot going on there. So if you love complex games with lots of systems and you're a strategy fan, keep your eye on Wargroove.
I'm just gonna make an army of doggos. Get ready.
nothing wrong with that.
I'm gonna battle you to the death with my cute dogs.
I would happily die that way.
You might want to get something with a little bit more power, but try it. See how
Are
it
there
goes.
other animal troops?
I don't think so. I didn't
There's
see
no
it.
cavalry.
Just
There's
all
Oh yeah,
no
there is a
horses?
mounted.
Okay.
There is a guy. A paladin. No,
Paladin.
The horse
Yeah,
paladin?
there's a paladin. Yeah,
Um,
and then there's a paladin. There was an alchemist. There were other.
I didn't
dudes.
write down all of the unit types.
Okay,
so-
yeah, that's
No.
fair.
but there's
Yeah.
a bunch.
Yeah,
There's a lot, Steimer.
a lot.
The most important one is the doggos. It's
Systems
okay.
on systems.
Cod, did you play anything at GDC that you were super excited about?
At the Indie Mix event that I went to, there were a couple of games. Zarvat. Have you heard of this game?
No.
Zarvat.
Zarvat, which I saw like 4 years ago.
Can you spell that with an X?
Zavrot.
Oh, Z. Okay.
It is a isometric battler, kind of a shooter. It feels like Zaxxon, if you remember that game, way back when people were 10.
When people were 10.
When I was 10, back in the day.
It says where cute tanks fight to the death for tomatoes and glory in voxel brick arenas.
Tomatoes?
Super fun. I love that game. When
Why
I
would
saw
you
it
fight
back
for a tomato?
in like 4 years ago, I wanted it then, and I want it even more now.
Yeah?
So that game is fantastic.
Is it, like, can you be friends? Do you have to hurt each other?
No, you have to hurt each other.
Okay.
But there's a story mode now.
You have to hurt
You
each
have
other.
to hurt each other. But there's a story mode now, which they just implemented, which is going to be really fun. It sounds like if you had two friends who lived in Williamsburg, New York, and they were going out to the club, and they had beef. So it's like, it's an interesting, it's a very, very New York reference. But
I'm laughing, but I don't get it.
but it felt really good, and it still feels good from what I played, which is great. And Punch Planet, which is a I'm sorry, not a side scroller. It is a fighter, which is really cool because they don't make those games often. When you have fighting games,
Are
they
you
come out.
planets?
No, I
Oh,
wish
it looks like
planets.
it looks like it's already out on Steam.
Yes. They're going after this kind of motif where they're
I want
using
Uranus to fight Saturn.
Ooh. Where you fight as 80s action figures or action stars, but like not knockoffs. I don't want to use that word, but rip-offs of
Parodies?
Who?
Parodies, maybe?
Parodies. That's a better word.
Oh, I like this art.
It's a way better word.
That's
and it's
cool.
really fun. It's a really good game.
It kind of has a Saturday morning cartoon aesthetic.
Yeah.
A little bit, yes. Yeah, it totally does. It totally
Oh
does
my
that.
God, who dat?
Ooh, hell
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that. But it's really
That's a
tight.
butt. Who's she supposed to be? She looks like
Um,
Starfire. But
80s butt
Tyra?
lady.
Tyra? It's a character. We're looking at
Yes.
character pictures.
at
But
a
the
sexy
mechanics feel really good for a fighter that is not one that's made from a big studio, because that's really hard to do.
Yeah.
To get that stuff down really well.
Yeah.
They're going in a really fun direction. It feels like the art style is
Yeah, it
something
looks
I haven't seen
fun.
in a bit, and I'm pulling for them. 'cause
Why is
feels
it
like
called
a-
Planet Puncher or
Punch
Puncher
Pla- Punch
Planets
Pla-
or Planet something?
Uranus. Oh, never mind.
She definitely is styled after She-Ra, which is super
Ah, makes
obvious.
sense.
She's 7 feet tall. Her occupation is Amazon princess, and she likes headhunting but hates crybabies. Her weapon of choice is anything sharp.
Yeah,
Are you
a
a
good
fighting
weapon.
fan? Fighting
I
game
love
fan?
fighting games.
Smash coming out this year?
Yeah, I'm down. I'm down for that. I'm
They're
waiting
gonna make
for
it?
that.
Yeah.
I hope so. But it was really fun. I love the way that it played. I got my ass kicked by the devs, which was great.
No, that's usually happens.
That sounds right.
I went in there thinking I was going to be good, and I was like, nope, not going to be good. Nope. That was great. Thanks for beating me up. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Well, cool. Yeah, no, GDC is great for finding games from developers who you've never heard of and to really kind of like shine a light on the really amazing work that's happening in the video games business today. The only problem is there's just so many of them
So many.
that there's just no way to even take a look at them all. That there's just so many great games like what's happening right now. So
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Do you have, when you go to conferences like this, do you have a specific thing that you're looking for? Or is it just the thing that you kind of see in your periphery that's like, oh, there's a bunch of people standing over there. What's that? Or that has something in the art style or, that makes me want to go check it out.
Yeah, for me, when I'm at like a big event like the Mix
Yeah.
or like the ID at Xbox Showcase and
Yeah.
like we know that we're not going to get to play, usually what I'll do is I'll go to one of the organizers of the event because they've seen all of the games up close and be like, what were your favorites? What were some of the standouts for you? And then I'll play the ones that they recommend. And then when I'm walking by, a lot of it also is art style that will grab me or turn me off depending on what it is. And I know that that's clearly not a fair way to judge a game because art style is just one component of the
Yeah.
game. But that's like sometimes you just got to pick something, and that's
Yeah.
the easiest thing.
Yeah, for me, it's the same sort of thing. Obviously, if there's some like Vermintide, I'm like, oh man, I gotta play that. But there was a game that was there yesterday at the ID at Xbox. I don't remember what it was, but it was like a medieval looking first person. Oh, I think the people who made Dusk. Whoever it's their other game.
New Blood?
Is it New Blood? I don't know. I'll look it
Yeah,
up.
New Blood made dust.
So they made another one, and it's a medieval first-person game. And then I found out it was roguelike, and I was really,
Oh,
really
the one
sad.
with the whip?
Yeah, is that it?
That was fantastic.
Okay, yeah. So
I
you
can't
played it.
remember the
It
name of it,
looked
though.
great. Yeah, I'm trying to look it up right now. But that looked really good. So I'm drawn to like medieval stuff. I like the old retro look.
Yeah.
So something that might give me like some warm and fuzzies, dungeon crawlies.
This is
like,
Dave's game.
Yeah.
Why do I not know the name of this? Hold on, I'm looking it up right now too.
I had a video. I didn't want to look at my phone because I felt I'd be rude.
No, you
No,
can,
no, no.
You can
They're
look at your
both
phone.
looking at
Yeah,
computer
yeah.
screens.
yeah.
I didn't want to do that.
Was
But
it a medieval?
Yeah. No.
City of Brass.
Thank you. That's exactly it. City of Brass.
So that's I don't know if that's new. I don't think that's New Blood then.
Okay.
But it was super funky. I love the way they had these kind of push and pull
If
mechanics.
it's not them, then they also put out a game that's very similar to this.
Okay.
So
No,
this
no,
is
no, this
already
is-
so City of Brass is already out on Steam.
Yeah. This is developed by Uppercut Games.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, okay, keep going. Steimer, what about you?
No, Steimer didn't go to any
I
of
didn't,
those
I
events.
didn't go to those things.
But he's just asking in general, like what draws you to a game, like what?
At a convention,
I'm sorry, I didn't know that this was
at a
what you were asking
convention,
her.
I don't really talk to anybody. I just like look at the art and then I kind of like try and figure out what kind of a game it is.
Yeah.
And I go from there pretty much.
Gotcha.
But like I've already said, I kind of hate playing games on show floors because it's not like a fun way to play a game because
Yeah.
there's people looking at you and you're like, I feel really self-conscious. I really just want to be alone and play this game. Like, can everybody just disappear for a minute?
Yeah.
What if they should like do curtains, like privacy curtains around?
That would
Blackout-
be
blackout
awesome.
shades.
Sometimes they do,
Yeah.
but then the
then-
dev team is still watching you,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is harder sometimes.
Did anyone play Apocalypse Cow?
No, saw it, did not play it.
Super fun.
Play what?
Yeah,
Apocalypse Cow, which is a side scroller. It has like a time slowdown mechanic as well. So you're kind of the main character is this little girl and she's super spunky. She's dope. I like they've written her really well. So she feels really fun and she feels like super smart and cheeky, as they would say.
Where does the cow come in?
No cow. I didn't see any
What?
cows though.
What is with these games and their names? I'm not a fan. I'm like, getting upset.
Damn, girl.
You're getting upset.
I want
Okay.
if it's called got the word cow in it, there better be a cow somewhere.
So the game I was thinking of it's called A Medieval, and it just came out March 12th, and that is
Oh.
that's what I
developed-
asked you if you meant a medieval.
Yeah, sorry, that's exactly what I meant.
I think she probably thought you meant like a medieval game.
No, yeah. I thought you were
Oh.
saying like
Oh.
medieval, like a medieval
Oh,
game,
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't enunciate. Yeah, no, a medieval is from New Blood Interactive.
and it looks awesome.
Ah, nice.
That
I
is
didn't
all.
get a chance to play that
Did I
one.
see like a wand, like a staff of like a magics?
Okay.
I like the magics.
Well,
move
there
on.
you go, folks. Okay, so we have lots of other games to talk about here. So GDC has been fun, but last week I got to go to Sony Santa Monica, and I talked to Corey Barlog/Balrog. We had a fun conversation about his name in my interview, and I also talked to Jeet Schroff, and I also talked to 3 members of the combat design team. I'm actually going to pull up my notes because I didn't get those guys and gal, 2 guys, 1 gal, on camera because I didn't have enough time, unfortunately. But they did answer a bunch of questions. So I asked you guys to submit questions to me on Twitter and Facebook about if you guys had questions about the game. So I tried to ask as many of those as I could while I was there. So I have a bunch of notes here. So first off, before we get to your questions and the answers that I got, the game looks incredible. We played on 4K TVs with PlayStation 4 Pros. So just disclaimer there. But in true God of War fashion, they did not disappoint when it came to the cinematics and the graphics. That series has always been known for really amazing technology, having these seamless gameplay to cutscene moments, and that is 100% back and better than ever in the new version of God of War, the reboot. Looks beautiful. The seamless transitions are there. They've hidden all the loading under cutscenes once again. Looks great. The combat has changed just enough that it feels fresh and it feels weighty and it feels new, but it doesn't feel not God of War. It still has a lot of reminiscent of the combat from the previous games. However, it is slowed down a little bit because of the camera style. So third person now, so it's not that kind of top down feel, but the camera is actually pretty close to Kratos throughout most of the gameplay, which I personally like that style a lot better than the previous.
Yeah.
And they really have done a lot with this one camera cut theme, which I talked to Corey about and Jeet about in my interview, but you can also learn about that on the their website. They have like a whole bunch of information about that style of cinematography and how that really influenced every single element of game design, from the art to the animating to like the level design, really kind of taking into this idea that they wanted to make it as cinematic as possible throughout all of the elements of the game. And it really shows through how much work that they've done to recreate that feeling of just like having literally no cuts. Obviously there are some cuts. It's not like you're going to see cuts, but like the idea that like it's like the camera's always in the same spot. So it looks really great. The combat, it had a lot more depth and range than I was anticipating, because I kind of felt like in the previous God of War games that it was just like a lot of button mashing at a certain point, right? Like it's just like a lot, you're trying to get that hit counter up and the combos. And the combo system is back, but there's obviously not a counter on screen. And the way that the axe has replaced the dual blades is really satisfying. Like I know some true diehard God of War fans were really worried about like this Leviathan axe and how they were going to implement it. But it literally is Mjolnir, but an axe. Like it's, and so like it keeps that really kind of gritty, gory, violent part of the combat, but it also has this very like supernatural feeling, because like the way that Kratos can throw the axe and use it as a ranged weapon is so fantastically done. And then like you hit triangle and it calls it back to your hand. It's so fucking satisfying to do. It's so good. And the way that the axe will pull back through enemies and through objects in the world when you call it back is so cool. The mechanic of it breaking items in the environment when you summon it is something that we just got an inkling of how that is going to be used in the puzzle solving in the game, because we played the first like 2.5 hours of the game roughly. So you guys have seen the demo. We played through that part where he's like hunting the deer, and then we are on our way on this journey to the mountain, Kratos and Atreus. We also see a part in the beginning. So obviously a lot of questions people have about Atreus' mother. Who is she? We don't learn that right away, which is great. So it's in the cinematic that they released, that if you guys watched the video at youtube.com/whatsgoodgames, that my interview contains the cinematic that they released, which is beautiful. If you haven't watched it yet, highly recommend it. It does have some, I guess technically some story spoilers, but I mean it's all publicly available stuff, so it's going to be really hard to keep all the story stuff secret. But there is a character you meet who I won't talk about, that is an amazing first boss battle in the game, and that bombastic kind of cinematic, like really large scale feeling that God of War really nailed is back in a way that like is gonna blow your socks off. I don't want to like, I kept telling myself, I should find something that I didn't like about it. I should make like a pros and cons list. And for the record, I know I should have probably said this at the beginning of the show. PlayStation did give me access to the event. They invited me to the studio. I put the FTC disclaimer on the interview video, but just as a reminder that they gave me special access to come to the event. But all of it felt so good. And the thing that I loved the most about it, the thing I didn't like about previous God of War games, is it was too combat focused. This game has such a good balance between walking through the world and doing the adventure part of the game and looking for collectibles and items within the world, to coming upon a combat moment, to then transitioning into a puzzle moment that you have to work through, you know, with Atreus. And like the amount of time spent between those feels so well balanced in a way that I didn't previously feel in God of War games. And I love that it feels more adventure instead of just action. They're really kind of hitting that action adventure like Venn diagram overlap in a really fantastic way from what I've played so far. Obviously, just scratching the surface. The game is estimated to be about 25 to 30 hours long is what they told me. So depending on how much time you spend exploring.
Quite long. But
yeah.
What were the other God of War games?
Definitely longer. They said
Way
it's
longer,
the biggest
yeah?
God of War game they've
Yeah.
ever made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, say no more, girl.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
excited.
no, I have questions.
Yes,
Yeah.
answer.
Mostly because when I've never finished a God of War, but when I've played them before, I usually stop because I honestly get grossed out. Like, and I'm okay with violence. Obviously, I play video games, but I just always felt like God of War was very gratuitous and like gross on a level that I really was uncomfortable with.
Absolutely.
And so I guess I'm curious of what you've seen in the past in like that 2 hours. Did you feel like it kept true to that? Because I feel like it technically is one of the draws of God of War. Like people are like, oh, super violent.
Yeah, so the Spartan Rage is definitely back. And that was one of the combat questions that I got. One of the questions that you guys sent in was old throwback mechanics in the game. Spartan Rage definitely plays a role. It's going to be an item it's a meter that you build, and then you can collect these little red gems throughout the world to help build your meter, but it will just naturally build over time as you're in combat. And then you hit the both sticks at the same time to activate it, and then it like puts him into a rage, and he does like super damage. What I asked them about the way that Spartan Rage works is that I was like, is it something that is designed to be used like a super and you hold it for like a moment in a boss fight? Is it designed to be like you're firing it off all the time and that it's just always going to be replenished? And they said, it's really up to player choice as to how you want to use Spartan Rage. So they didn't really quite answer me that way, but
No, that doesn't make any sense because what?
I agree. They danced around it in a way that I was like, well, okay.
Like this answer makes no sense,
But
because either it fills quickly and you can keep using it, or it fills slowly and you use it at specific times.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I would ask the question: does it make you feel as powerful as it sounds?
Yes, because the way that they've integrated the shield with the Leviathan axe in combat and the way that you can use those. So like, let's say you're in an area and there's like 7 enemies there. You can throw the axe at one of the enemies and you can bash with the shield, and then you have your fists as well. And there are certain enemy types that are resistant to your axe, to the magical powers in your axe. So you have to use your fist to fight them. And then you can summon the axe back and it can hit enemies on its way back, and you can use the shield and the axe together. And like the way that they've given you choice in combat is really liberating in the sense that if I don't want to primarily use the axe, I don't have to. I can fight all of these enemies with my fists. It's obviously going to take a little bit longer for some of the bigger boss types. Like you're going to want to, trust me, you're going to want to use the axe.
I'm just gonna punch
it's
boss in the
possible.
face.
It's possible.
So I imagine you used your kiddo as part of puzzles. Did you have any of that in your demo?
A little bit. And I'm going to leave the puzzle part out because I don't want to spoil anything about the puzzles. But in combat, Atreus has arrows. So he's got 3 arrows in the beginning of the game. I don't know how that's going to scale later through the game. He will engage with the enemies on his own a little bit, but you can hit square and he'll target an enemy with his arrow and it'll like stun or distract them. So if you're fighting a big boss and they're like about to like swing at you or something, you can hit the square and the arrow will fire and like the boss will swing. So you can use that in combat to assist you when you feel like maybe you're a little overwhelmed. Which is great. But to answer your question, Steimer, about the brutality of it.
Yeah. I'm
So
thinking specifically more of like, I think the boss fights in particular were like the real gory shit where you're just like ripping entrails out and you're like, nah.
from what I've seen so far, the gore is back, but it's not as grotesque as what I've seen in previous God of War games. But that being said, I only was in the first 2 hours into the game.
Sure.
And a lot of the enemies that I fought were not humanoid, really. They were like mystical creatures.
Okay.
Okay.
So it was like, it didn't feel as gory because it's like when you're fighting a Draugr, which is basically just like a glorified set of bones, right? It doesn't have like flesh and blood and things like that, so it doesn't feel as gory graphically.
Sure.
But in the first boss fight, the character that you fight is a human.
Is a fleshy.
Well, it's a fleshy
fleshy entity.
character that has skin and blood. I actually don't know if he's a real human or not. It's unclear. But it's that definitely felt like gritty and raw and visceral, but not in an overly grotesque way.
Okay.
It was done with enough restraint that it felt more artistic and less like gratuitous,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Okay.
So you don't have to spoil the puzzle, but what I'm curious, was he convenient to use as a puzzle mechanic, or was he annoying the kiddo?
Like you're like the
He's,
kiddo.
yes, the question is the kid annoying? No.
Okay.
He's not annoying at all. From what I've seen so far in the game. And the things that they introduce in the opening cutscenes of the game about his relationship with Kratos, I think is going to be really interesting to see how it unfolds, because they've introduced kind of a plot element that I did not see coming
Ooh.
from the marketing materials they've released so far.
That's good.
So there's
that.
there's some mystery there. There's some more questions you're gonna have immediately upon starting the game, and the relationship between them feels like something you're gonna want to explore. Versus where I know some people who have watched the marketing material so far are like, I think I'm gonna hate this kid. I don't think you're gonna hate this kid the way you think you are.
I thought I was gonna hate Kratos as a dad though. Because he was just like, "Yo, do that, hey,
Boy.
what do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, boy, do that thing I told you to do.
Yeah.
It's like chores all day."
They explore
I
that
mean-
relationship immediately upon starting the game, and it's clear that we don't know. You think you know what their relationship is, but you don't.
But you have no idea.
And Kratos as a dad has, like, in the opening hours of the game, you see, like, they've done such a great job with the animation of him. You can see the restraint in him. You can see that he knows he's this, like, tempest of a person inside.
rageaholic.
That he's this, like, he's literally full of rage, but that he's, like, he's chained himself. That he's, like, restricted himself in such a way that, like, they've really demonstrated that on screen in a really masterful way, and I'm excited to see where it goes, because you know at some point the beast is gonna come out.
Yeah.
I would
We just-
like to rage.
You just don't know. You just don't
Can I
know where
please
or
rage,
when,
please?
right?
Yeah.
Because I mean,
Yeah.
like, he's a demigod, so it's like it's gonna be exciting to see where it goes.
Oh, I'm
Papa
so excited.
Demigod.
Yeah. So just a couple more things here from the questions that you guys have. That one of the questions was, I just want to know about the leveling up and the crafting mechanics. How deep are they? How do they work? Skill trees, etc. They haven't really talked about the game much outside story. So crafting is a thing that's in the game. There's going to be different resources available, which means you're going to need to explore around the world a little bit to find some crafting materials, smash a bunch of stuff. There's a lot of breakable things in the environment, and you're going to get rewarded in the skill tree, and you can pick between defensive and offensive choices depending on your personal playstyle. There are vendors in the world. We've seen one of the vendors. His name is Bock. He's the guy with the blue skin that Kratos meets early in the game. So he's got like a little shop. So you can buy armor upgrades. You can buy weapon upgrades. You can upgrade Atreus's bow that he has. You can buy armor upgrades for Atreus as well. And so there will be a whole crafting armor system in the game, which is exciting that they're really kind of leaning into the RPG part of that.
How did you feel about the map size from what you saw? Like, in that 2 hours, was it like one giant area that you were going from place to place in? Was it sort of linear into more open map style like Tomb Raider, or?
So I talked to Jeet about this because there are some misconceptions. It is not an open world game.
Thank God.
It is a linear game with instances where you can explore.
Okay.
So it feels more like the Uncharted 4 in that way,
Okay.
where like there are some open areas that you can wander around and find collectibles and pick up crafting materials, but it's not open world. So, and I did ask them, will you be able to go back and retread? And they said, yes, certain areas of the game, you're going to be able to like go backwards. So if you missed a collectible, for example,
Sure.
you can like go back. It's not like, the thing that Jeet used in our interview was he said that Corey thinks of it as like a tour bus where you're like on the bus and then you can stop somewhere and get off and look around, then you get back on the bus and you're going straight, but the bus has a direction and a destination.
It's the Kratos cruise.
Kratos cruise.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
But that you can go back to previous bus stops
Okay.
and check out the area again. There is an item system where you will have to make committed choices. I asked about the skill tree and I was like, are you going to be able to like re-roll your points or whatever? And they said it's not designed that way.
What?
Meaning that like you're never going to be locked into choices except for certain crafting choices. But like the points, because there's a skill tree system, so the points that you unlock, you will be able to move around. From what it sounded like, he said.
Oh, okay.
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 The item and crafting system is where you're going to be making committed choices. But the progression is designed to incentivize. It says runic attack.
But they're gonna
I'm trying
have to
remember
have
what that
they
is.
have to have a respect token of some kind somewhere. Like, even if they don't launch with it, people will be mad. Mostly
True.
because like
I wanted to spec my Kratos to hug people.
Yeah.
I
Where's
do
the
that?
hug attack,
This is
man?
whack.
And the final question, somebody said games are giving players the options to approach players options on their approach, either hack and slash their way or stealth their way. Does God of War give player these options? And they said, listen, Kratos isn't a stealth
I was
guy.
about to
Yeah,
say,
God.
But there is a variety
He's like
of play
8 feet
style
tall.
through using the axe, the shield, and your fist. Because like
tall is
the axe is a really effective ranged weapon in a way
Mm-hmm.
that I was not anticipating. And it's really fun to throw.
I'm
at
trying to
stuff.
imagine Kratos like tiptoeing around,
Yeah,
like
no.
trying to be stealthy squirrel.
I mean, he's
I mean,
got-
oh,
With
never
like
mind.
the
God of
sugar-
War.
with like the sugar, with like the sugar plum
Kratos
song.
isn't
Yeah,
as tall as I thought he was.
no.
Kratos is 6 feet 6 inches. In case you wanted to know,
He what?
he's like a basketball player. 6 feet 6 inches.
Yeah, he's
I just want someone to
He's,
give
I
Kratos
thought he was
some
gonna be like at
lotion.
least
he's
8 or
thick.
8
You want some lotion?
No, I said I just want someone to give Kratos some lotion. He's dry.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
dry in every game.
real
I
he's
dry.
been
think it's
in.
body paint. Is
So-
it not, or is it like ashes on him? I don't understand.
No, it is, but he's just
Ashes,
like super
yeah.
dry.
It is ashes. Oh
Like
right,
li-
it's the
like
ashes
lit-
of like
like
his dead
literal
family,
ashes.
right?
Yeah, like
Trying
literally
to
ashes.
imagine Kratos like, I gotta paint my body.
He's going to Burning Man real
Yeah.
hard.
But yeah, so I know we've talked about God of War quite a bit here now on the show, but like I'm ready.
Yeah.
It looks good.
Is your body ready?
Yeah. Within the first 5 minutes of me playing this game, I was like, God damn, I feel so bad for Sony Santa Monica that they're nominated. They're going to be nominated in the same year as
Red Dead.
Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh, yeah.
I think
Because this
My-
is definitely going, like, from what I've played, I would be shocked if this isn't on people's Game of the Year contender
My
list.
only concern is that 25 to 30 hours seems like a real long time for a linear game.
Hmm.
That seems like
I don't
that-
know. I
that's
feel
a-
like
that's
that's
a trip.
good.
I also feel like for a game that doesn't come around this often.
is because like to me I'm concerned then that they didn't edit their story and there might be a lot of
Oh.
flaws.
remember that they've added in several of these RPG mechanics, and I feel like in order to fully realize a skill tree and a crafting system, you can't have like a 10-hour game because then it just kind
Sure.
of feels a
Okay,
little worthless,
true.
right?
So I guess yeah, maybe it's not 25 30 hours of story. It's like when you're crafting it up. Okay.
And there's exploration, there's puzzles, there's obviously lots of combat encounters, but
Really quick before you move on, what was the timbre of the room? Because I know how that go. I know how it is when you go to a press event. And usually press events are kind of quiet, and people are like kind of just chilling. But there's like a couple people like, yo, that was
Yo,
great.
Dad of War.
well, I mean,
What up?
it was very quiet because it was like a very dark room and we all were kind of like isolated in our
Okay.
little stations.
Okay.
But I mean, there's tons of coverage out there. There was a lot of outlets that were invited,
Yeah.
and pretty much everything I've seen has been universally positive.
Yeah.
So
good.
So excited.
yeah,
I just hope I don't have to rip someone's eyes out because I think that'll be a nope out of my on my end.
I don't think so.
Rip someone's
I
eyes
think
out.
the Kratos that we see in this game,
It's a little
is-
bit less.
I mean that
I just
Kratos
really
is-
like
He's
some of the
Daddy
things that
Kratos
happened
now.
in
Daddy
God of
Kratos
War
isn't
3,
trying to rip
I was-
people's
I
faces
almost
off in front of his son.
barfed.
Yeah.
Like, it was not
He's
okay.
like, "Hey, child,
Yeah.
go over here while I rip this dude's face off."
Like, yeah, like cover your eyes, ear muffs, and eye muffs.
Eye muffs.
I mean, yeah, I mean that has a lot to do with it, right? 'Cause
I think
he's
you're
True,
right.
yeah. I guess the kid couldn't witness like something. Well, he could, but
On one end,
Hopefully
he's
they
like,
wouldn't.
"Child, kill him."
Yeah.
Wait a
he's
minute.
like, I don't want to, sir.
I mean, he didn't want to kill that deer, but
True.
but then he got really excited and shot him, and then Kratos was like, "Yo, you got to finish what you started."
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Put
Lara
the poor
Croft
thing
killed the
out
deer,
of
and
his
she really
misery.
struggled with it too. Now look at her. Now look at that bitch.
Little boy.
Exactly.
Look at this woman called Lara Croft. She's okay. You will be too.
All right, I've been talking for a long time.
No, it's good stuff.
We
Yeah.
all downloaded Fortnite on mobile and only played like one match. How much have you been playing
I played one match.
on mobile? But you've been playing a lot of Fortnite.
Yeah, I play a crap ton of Fortnite at this point. Mobile actually feels really good. It's one of those weird things where it has the old mobile issues that most mobile games have, where it's like I'm using virtual sticks, and that's really difficult, and I don't know if I have enough screen real estate to be able to do exactly what I want. But that being said, first game I got in, I got like third place in the match.
I also got
Nice.
third place in my first game.
Yeah. I shot that red dude with a shirt. No, I'm just playing.
The butt.
and got third. But it felt good in a weird way where it was, the first thing you tried to figure out was like, what did you map to what? And how did you move the mechanics from the usual places that you've had it to this mobile device? And they did really smart things, like you double tap to kind of move your character and have like auto run initiate. Shooting is still weird.
Shooting's hard. I'm just
Shooting's
gonna say it.
weird.
Is it? It's challenging because your finger takes up so much
space.
real estate on
Yeah.
the screen when you're
Yeah.
trying to aim.
Yeah.
In a game that's like you gotta be quick draw.
Yep.
Like I struggled with it,
Yeah.
and the reason I was able to do so well in the game and get so high was I just like hid the whole time. I just was like, I went to like the center of the map and I found a bush and I
Yep.
just crouched down and I stayed there until the storm kept moving in
Yep.
and moving in. And then when it got down to like 7 of us left, I was like, okay, I should probably
It's
like,
my time to shine.
yeah.
Yeah.
I had like 3 different guns. I was like, I got to do something. But like, especially doing any kind of a ranged weapon with a scope
Yep.
is like really challenging with fingers on the glass.
This game is going to do really, really well when they get Bluetooth support in.
Yeah.
Once that happens, then that changes the way this game gets played. And
Yeah.
then it's going to be something totally different. 'Cause
What
then
about when it comes to Switch?
when it comes to Switch, alongside Arc and all the other games that are going to be on Switch?
Okay, I'm
um,
playing Fortnite right now. I'm
it's-
not ignoring everyone.
But it feels really good. Like the translation from the console and the PC space to this mobile space
Right.
feels exactly like what they promised. And they
Yeah.
said that it was going to be something where you'd feel competent, you'd feel like you'd be able to play it, and you wouldn't feel like you've lost a lot.
Yeah,
from
it's true.
translation.
The only part that I'm, really having trouble wrapping my head around is the building.
Oh, yeah.
Because like the building menu system on console and PC is so robust that having to like I feel like the text is just so small.
Mm-hmm.
But I know in Battle Royale in particular, like the building isn't as important from like a structural perspective. It's really just people use it as obstacles, as like cover,
Right.
essentially. But I did see a guy build like the guy who ended up winning the match that I lost built this giant tower up into the sky, and then he just was like sniping people from the tower. And I'm like, man, he must have been practicing. 'Cause I just like I can't fast fingers it because in Battle Royale I get so nervous about building a structure like that because
Yeah.
I'm like someone's gonna come along me.
Yeah.
Well, I got my map editor or my building editor open. They're gonna shoot me, and then it's done. And
No,
then
the people who are good at that game, it's like I'm like, wow, because I can't. I'm like to you, Andrea. I'm like, Bill. I can do one thing at a time. I can't like build and then
I
like
just
immediately
dirt my way
swap
through it,
over
yeah.
and
Yeah.
fire a gun
This
at someone.
looks
And the
really
way
good.
that they build those towers to go up, like I've watched people. I watch a lot of Fortnite on streaming, and it's fucking insane to me. I'm like, oh my god, like they just like
No.
build themselves little whole.
I think a lot of it
things, like
becomes
shells.
muscle memory after a while.
Sure.
Because particularly when I was playing a lot of Save the World and I was building things, like you learn the button combinations to
Yeah.
do certain types of walls and stairs and things like that. And that's what's challenging about it on mobile is that like is that muscle memory is gone because
Yeah,
it's all
'cause it's
tapping
different,
instead. Yeah.
You're like, I'm here, and now I'm all the way here, and now I'm going to spin my controller around, and I'm like, how?
Because you only have one input, your
Right,
finger,
right.
versus like all 10 of your fingers when you're holding a controller
Yeah.
or you're on a mouse
Right.
and keyboard,
Yeah.
right? So,
I will say it like looks really good and it runs really well.
it runs
Yeah.
really
oh,
yeah.
yeah,
I'm
it
Yeah.
runs great.
super
Yeah.
impressed by this. This runs better than PUBG
I
does.
figured out now what this version of the game is going to be for me. This is going to be my mobile store. I probably won't play this often because it is like my phone gets hot and carpal tunnel and all that stuff, like old people hands. But it's like I won't be able to do all the things I want to do, so I'll be frustrated trying to play it.
Yeah.
But it will be the thing that I will use to go look at the store when I'm not home. I'm like, oh, okay, I will buy my skins through here.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed by this technology. We are in the future, ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen.
We sure are.
Am I supposed to have a gun?
Yes. I mean,
Yeah,
you should
you
find a
definitely
gun.
want to get a
Someone,
gun.
just
Do I-
build around
do I have to
someone.
To go scavenge,
You
you
have to
gotta go
find
find
one.
one. Yeah.
This is amazing.
Yeah. It's
I-
fantastic what
doesn't
they've
change
done.
my-
We're changing Britt's life. She's gonna get hooked on Fortnite mobile.
If you see like things around your retic or like the middle of the screen, it's kind of indicating where people are for you.
Okay.
Have you-
No, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Have you gotten better on the kind of console PC side of Fortnite stuff with the building? Because I know that was a thing that people have been talking about. Like,
Well,
it's hard.
they have been making updates to save the world, but they're not coming as fast as I would like them to come.
Yeah.
The biggest problem I have with like the building now is that it's just really about resource management.
Mm.
But it's like I feel like I spend too much time scavenging for materials, like having to go like get the steel or the brick or whatever. But I also feel like I spend a lot of time building things within the world, then I never use the building, and it just is all about the combat. So and that's like interesting to see the difference between Save the World and Battle Royale in that sense, and how differently building is used in Battle Royale. And how from the people that I've watched, and Steimer, you know, I don't know which streamers you're watching, but most of the streamers that I've watched don't use traps like at all.
No one uses traps.
Yeah. And but I've seen some of their like montages where like they have like traps set up in Battle Royale, and I'm like, the idea of traps in Battle Royale is really cool, but like I just don't. I feel like people just don't even bother with them.
No, because the odds of it working are so slim. Like,
right?
In fact, someone's gonna come into the building and not see the trap, and you know. Anyways,
I heard you were in here. Get caught.
I'm camping. Let's see how good I do here.
That's fantastic.
Oh
if
my
you
God.
win, I'm gonna. That's gonna be
I don't think I'll win.
You can only camp for so long. You can't. You have
I know, I have
to
to watch
move
out for
after
the
a certain
bubble.
amount of time.
Yeah,
the
when
bubble
the
isn't
thing-
getting me yet.
I do wish that they would move the mechanics that they have in the Battle Royale into the Save the World part.
Yes, please do it already.
I tried to play Save the World the other day, and I was like, oh, half the things I do, they don't translate to what is over here now. Oh, okay.
It's a puzzle to me why they haven't yet.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure. Maybe because they tried it in their own tests and it like broke something else.
Yeah.
On that side, I have to imagine that's got to be the reason.
Yeah.
And also, like all of the cosmetic stuff that is in Battle Royale should instantly be available in Save the World. I do not know why that's a thing.
Oh, am I supposed
Yeah,
to be
that's
in the
true, too.
It's
circle?
PVE.
Yeah.
You know.
You're gonna die
Yeah,
if
that's
you're
stuff I'm
dead.
like, I bought all these
Oh, I'm
really
dead.
dope skins. I really want to use them in Save the World.
Yeah.
That would make a lot of sense.
Your
and
health
I don't know
going
why
down?
it doesn't translate over.
No.
We're doing a show here. What's going on?
No,
She's like, oh, do I need to be in the circle? I'm like, yes.
Yes.
That's
No,
'cause I'm
kind of
playing
the
it-
whole point.
No, it's interesting because I found a spot to camp, and I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to be in the circle. But
Yeah, if you're gonna camp, you have to camp inside the circle.
yeah, no wonder no one's out here.
Yeah.
I thought I found a really good camping spot. No, so this is like my first time playing like something like this, and
Yeah.
I have to say, man, like I don't like too much anxiety. I don't like
It
the
is
feeling
very
of being
anxiety
hunted.
inducing.
I really don't like the idea of being hunted. But I know some people the adrenaline.
You have to become the hunter.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just want to make friends.
You're not gonna make friends in
No,
Battle
so
Royale.
my
That's not the
takeaway-
way
You
that
can do
works.
squads though.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
Yeah, this is again. I'll say it again. Like
But
I
you're
should
not
all-
making friends. You go in with friends.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. No,
We
yeah.
should all squad up sometime. That would be fun.
Yeah,
I
I'm
would
in.
love that. That
I'm
would be
down.
great. Yeah.
I'll
I'm
try.
just super impressed with how. Okay,
We can
I'm
all
over
emote
it.
like I'm
together.
just really
Yeah.
bad at building.
Exactly.
Building and shooting at the same time.
So Kahlief, do you want to talk about Sea of Thieves?
I want to talk about the idea of Sea of Thieves.
Okay. Oh boy. Oh boy. All right.
I think Sea of Thieves as a game is going to be really fun, but again, like the time that we all
But
shared
when
in our
do
Sea
you
of
think
Thieves
that will be?
run, I mean, it was weird. So I played a little bit in the last test before it went live, and all I did was get locked up into a jail on someone's boat, and they just left me there for like 10 minutes, and I couldn't get out. And I don't know if it was a bug. I don't know if it was. It was
What?
some weird thing where
Yeah, because you
was
can lock people in the brig, but
You
I
can
thought it
put
was
them in the brig.
time based.
Yeah.
I thought it was time based. I don't know how long it is, but basically I just sat there and I put a video up of it on Twitter, and I just sat there and just sang shanties while I was locked up because there was nothing else to do, and I was like, all right,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
leaving the
not very
server.
fun.
No, it wasn't. So I'm wondering how that's gonna work in
Sure.
terms of when people actually get into it live. I don't know if there's something you can get out of it, especially with the thing that we have all been talking about is, you know, the idea of being able to go into that game and jump around and play around with the systems, but also not always feel like you're going to be under attack.
Yeah.
Which is the hardest part. Like, there's no
Yeah.
passive mode where you can just chill and like be like, I don't want you to shoot me right now.
And
I want to do my voices, my character development,
Yeah.
like I'm supposed to do while I'm playing as a pirate, but you won't let me. So
Yeah, so
We've
I
talked
just
about
read this
that.
story
Yeah.
over on VentureBeat during one of the alphas or one of the private closed betas. They say the title is Sea of Thieves players are immediately throwing strangers in the brig.
Yep.
And the guy here who wrote the article, Jeff Grubb, says that you can't break out of the cell. There's no limit on how long you can spend in it before you are automatically freed. Or at least the 80 minutes I spent in a brig was not a limit for my first time in the
Yep.
game earlier this week.
80
Yeah.
minutes?
yeah, I had to just leave the server.
Also, what do you mean when you're like getting thrown in there? They can't pick you up.
No, you literally just morph into the brig. Like you,
What do you
Because
mean?
you vote to lock a player in the brig.
Oh, I've never
Yeah.
used the brig, so I didn't know that.
Yeah,
was the
so like
system.
it's like you select their gamer tag. It's
That's
not like you
terrible.
physically are removing them.
Here's my concern about
We've already
this
the whole
development.
thing's
No,
said.
here's my problem. Is that they basically have given all of these players all of these griefing tools, and then they're basically like, but we think you should be nice to each other. And you're like, I'm sorry. what? Like,
Have you played a video game on the internet?
You can't give
Yep.
people like these kinds of tools and then be
No.
like, but I'm sure that you'll be responsible and use these appropriately.
No,
Like,
it's not going to happen. And that's we've talked about this many times on the show. It's
well,
just
because there was just an article, I haven't read it, but like they were like, or I think it was a video, and someone's basically talking like, we really hope people will be nice to each other. And you're
I
like,
even used my best
you built
Oliver
it.
Twist voice to
You-
try to get out.
yeah,
And it didn't work.
you built it with people like you're what?
Yeah, this is the point. I mean, this is the part of the game that is such a giant bummer that we talked about after our experience, like where Britt and I got murdered on that island.
on the island.
And I mean, we got straight shot in the back,
Oh, yeah.
like
Yeah.
murdered.
That
And
was
like,
it.
Yeah, that was like the hub island, right? Like where you were
yeah,
turning
we were at a
quests in.
vendor.
Yes.
And it's just like it's frustrating because that game has so much potential to be so great and to have this awesome exploration element, to be able to like Britt said, kicking back, sailing the seas, having a nice relaxing time until it's not. And like the idea that every encounter with a player in the world ends negatively, it's so sad to me.
Yeah.
And like, and now it's not, I know it's not literally 100% of encounters.
It's
but,
gonna be real close.
But from my playtime, when I encountered people I did not know, 95% of the time it ended poorly.
It did not end well.
I don't think I had a single positive experience with a stranger online.
I had two, but
On that game, sorry.
It was it was like in the first couple of betas.
Betas, yeah. I had one. I don't know if you and I were on the same boat, but there was like a guy who was on the boat with us who was navigating,
Right.
and who had done the voyages before, and so we were like, oh, this is cool. We'll just let him navigate, and we'll run around the ship and goof around.
Yeah.
And so that was cool because he also like knew like
Yeah, but
where
he
the
was
chests
on
were.
your
But
team.
yeah,
He wasn't like, I'm talking about like any a player that is not on your squad.
right. But even players that are, if
Yeah.
you get match made with people on
Yep.
your squad, they can still lock you in the brig. They can shoot you.
Yeah.
They can like throw you
Can't
off the
do
boat.
physical damage to you.
I thought there was friendly fire.
can't-
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
But they can lock you in.
They can lock you in a brig for sure.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
leave you somewhere.
Yeah.
But
Dip out on
then
the
you
boat.
can mermaid to them and be like, bitches, I'm back.
What I just don't understand is like I feel like we're a very smart group of men and women. You know what online communities can be like. If you put in a game where you can grief people, like Steimer was saying, it's gonna happen. So I don't know why they're pussyfooting around the idea that people are just gonna be dicks. They're just gonna do it, but it's just like we want players to self-regulate or whatever they were calling it, and it's like nope, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah,
Like, why are you dodging this?
I don't understand the concept of intentional griefing systems in the first place.
No.
Cod, you have some insight.
I mean, I think if you sometimes add a weird, like, malevolent aspect to a game, what you can do is you can kind of have people be adversarial in ways that you want to kind of poke people towards different content, which might work, but we also know how people play games and they do what they want. So it's hard to kind of balance that out when you're just like, all right, we're going to give you things to be assholes in the game.
And have
We
no
ju-
restrictions is the weird part.
There's no counterbalance to it, which is really difficult. And they don't
Yeah.
reward any way for you to counterbalance that stuff. And they don't really reward you for doing the other parts either, which is like, all right, so we're squatting up and we're doing stuff so you can get into those spaces and be together, which is great because you don't have to worry about, having people trying to kill you all the time. But what are the other parts that let you balance that out? And if you don't really talk about them in ways that are given early on, then people are just going to run ramp shot and just do what they want.
Yeah. And
So
I like how before they always, some of the producers would be like, but it's a pirate game. And I'm like, okay.
right.
So like,
So that's like that has been their public facing reasoning by all of their choices. They're
Yeah.
like, it's a pirate game, so we want you to like
Be an asshole.
be a pirate.
Yeah.
apparently all pirates are assholes.
So obviously, if you search PvE Sea of Thieves, because I've done this on Twitter, you're gonna see tons of people hitting up Rare and the Twitter account being like, "Hey, PvE, can you get PvE?" So they know it's a thing. They have to know that allowing people to grief you. And I know their other argument has been, it's a large map. You're not always going to run into people, but allowing people to just grief
But then
you
it
for the
feels
hell of it.
empty. So like it's a weird it's a weird balance of like you want to see
Yeah.
other players because you don't want to feel you're like alone in the world and the only other things that exist are these vendors and it's kind of or
Right.
zombie skeletons.
So do you think that, and I don't know, do you think that these are things that they know they need to implement, but it's a time restriction and they're just kind of like I said earlier, pussyfooting around it? Because and just say they don't want to like put forward like a bad face and say we just didn't have time. Sorry guys, this is gonna come later. Because I would like guarantee that we're gonna get PvE or something at some point.
Well, they actually made a statement this week. So,
Yeah, that was it's.
let me pull the
They did,
statement
they
up.
did.
So, Rare made a statement because people have been complaining that there's a lack of content in the game.
Right.
That it looks like it's like not finished. So they came out and they said, let me pull up the statement.
I mean, so when we were playing the betas or whatever, I was definitely thinking like, if this is it,
Yeah.
then
Right.
I won't be playing this game very long
Right.
because there's just
It's
the repetition of it isn't fun enough for me to want to play this for like hundreds of hours.
and it's weird because like the small things when we were playing, the things that you did that we all felt like, okay, so this is what this game is going to wind up being. Even those things didn't feel as satisfying as they should.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, I got my chest that I went and did this thing for. I put it on my boat, and then I go all the way to a vendor to go give it to a person so they can cash it in for me. And it's like small things. It's like the chests don't open. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you know, you don't get the things that you want as the feedback in that game that you would expect.
And then there are those times when, and like some of this, they could like, there's so much potential with
Yeah.
this game.
And I think that's it. Yeah.
And so there was a time when we floated by this shipwreck, and I was like, oh my God. So like we jumped out into the water and we are like looking around this thing. There was nothing in it. Like there was nothing in it. And I was like,
Supposedly those are things that you
and
can
I-
do now that it's actually finished.
oh, okay. So in the
Supposedly.
beta, maybe it wasn't. Okay, that's
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
I was like, what's the point
Yeah.
of this?
Everyone listen to yourselves drown
Yeah.
for 5 minutes.
Yeah,
This
right.
is great. Yeah. So I think that those things are now in the game since
Okay,
it's live.
that's great.
But I do still wonder what, you know, the in-between spaces where you're going from place to place, what are those things going to look like? And hopefully folks are not always constantly kind of trying to get at you.
That's why, like PVE again. Give
Yeah.
us the PVE, and I don't even mind sailing from place to place. It's kind of relaxing, actually.
Yeah, I
The
like that
water,
part.
the water technology is really
So
cool.
But if
good.
if you see like an island to the side and you're like, hey, let's make a pit stop and get out and check it out. Maybe you'll find some loot, something. I don't know, something even could just be cosmetic,
This-
just something.
The interesting part too is like you would think that they would have at least in the way that they've marketed it and talked about it in the press has been, oh, well, we've seen what's happened in Grand Theft Auto Online, and here are some things that we picked up from that game that we want to implement in ours, so that it kind of balances itself out. Here's maybe a passive mode, so you don't get shot in the
There
ass.
you go. Now I know we're gonna get a lot of comments because there are people out there who love their Sea of Thieves. They just say, "Get good." It's a PvP game, and
No,
it's like.
and that's totally fine.
Yeah.
But offering player choice isn't bad.
And that's what we do on this podcast. We talk about things and we analyze them. And we talk about how we think they could be improved and how the game could be tailored to attract a much more wider audience of people like us.
Yep.
So, IGN got a quote from executive producer Joe Neate, and he said, Sea of Thieves is designed from the ground up to be a game that grows and evolves, and then we will release new cosmetic options ongoing as part of that, alongside new mechanics and ways to play. Our focus for launch is on delivering a great initial experience. As we move beyond launch, we will be assessing and reacting to player feedback across all areas of the game. We have worked with our community throughout the development of Sea of Thieves, and that will continue in exactly as the same manner beyond launch. Worth noting, Sea of Thieves had 1 million players in its first 48 hours, as Rare talks about their server issues. So obviously plagued by server problems, as we discussed earlier.
Totally normal. Yeah.
But like, the thing is like, even this Forbes article headline, Xbox One Sea of Thieves is no more than 10% of a finished game.
Damn.
And like that's, listen, this is 100% a hot take from a contributor, right? Like, I wouldn't say it's that. I think that's an aggressive overstep.
Yeah.
whack.
And that doesn't give Rare any credit for the work that they've put into this game.
Yeah.
However, like, the points that he brings up in that article are worth mentioning. That like the islands feel underpopulated, the world feels underpopulated, the factions feel identical, the quests don't have enough variety. It's like if you're offering a $60 open world game, a game like GTA 5, and if you're going to put your game up next to an open world game, there's so many amazing open world games out there. Like, you kind of got to bring the goods, or you got to drop it down to a $29.99 price point, or even a $39.99 price point.
Or a $10 a month price.
Game
point with
Pass.
Game Pass.
Right? Like, but like, here's the thing. Sea of Thieves was not announced as Game Pass for 2 years of its like
totally.
marketing cycle, right?
Yeah.
They were taking pre-orders long before Game Pass was going to include first-party titles. So I'm not letting Microsoft off the hook for that. I think Game Pass was meant to support an audience that was already going to be there in the game, exploring it and give people an option to try it. This could potentially backfire spectacularly when we all were looking so positively at what Game Pass was going to do for Sea of Thieves, to be like, it's going to get more people in, it's going to be awesome, but if they don't bring the content, it's going to be like a monumental waste, and it's
die
going
on the vine real quick.
It's going to domino things like State of Decay. People are going to look at that game and go like, well, maybe I don't want Game Pass for this, you know? Or
I don't know if that's necessarily true though. I would disagree only because I think that since those games are so very, very different, that game having the pedigree from the last game,
right,
people will have at least some grace for it.
That's true.
I think what you're
That's
saying is
point.
I think
they
what you're saying
might
is you're
look
gonna
through different
devalue.
lens. Like
Sure.
you're gonna,
yeah.
Tarnishes the whole thing because
Devalue
of the
the value proposition of Game Pass.
right.
Yeah.
Or you're gonna like be like, oh, if the game is in Game Pass, therefore it must not be very good.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Is
Yeah, I think that's what-
yeah, you look at it through a different lens, right? Well, Sea of Thieves flopped. State of Decay, that's not gonna flop, I don't think. But you know, you start thinking of it that way. If it's a game on Game Pass, what does that mean? Is it gonna be unfinished like everything else on Game Pass? Which, okay, very, very exaggerated statement, but I think you understand like the point I'm trying to make.
No, I only laugh only because they already have another service like that on their platform.
They do.
Which is like,
Blah, blah.
here's another unfinished service game thing that we have for you.
Yeah,
Voila.
I'm concerned as like when Joe's saying like we had 1 million players. I'm worried about their bounce rates, like, because I think yes, it's awesome that they hit 1 million players.
It's gonna be
But
high.
it's gonna be like if you don't have a strong enough gameplay hook, which from what we have played before, and I've not played the final code yet. What I've played before, that hook is not strong enough. That core gameplay loop is not strong enough to keep most people going. And when you add that in with like the griefing tools that are in there that are unrestricted, I feel like the community is going to dwindle pretty fast.
And you know what's weird is has there been an official statement saying this game is PvP and it is going to remain PvP? Because I didn't know that until I knew it was PvP, but I didn't know the griefing was such a thing that could happen until we actually hopped in and played and experienced this. And I guarantee you there are people out there who've seen Sea of Thieves marketed or whatever, and they're like, I'm going to hop in. And then they didn't realize that it's fucking
and they're like,
a grief
oh, look,
fest.
another ship. Cool. Wait. Oh, no.
And that's why I can't help. Yeah. No, I just
Yeah.
can't help but
Yeah.
think like there's some stuff going on behind the scenes that we obviously aren't privy to,
Of
like
course.
because it just doesn't add up. People are smart. I mean, we all hope, but you know, it's like you know the industry, you know the nature of it, you know the culture of it. This just seems like you're trying to sweep like an elephant under a rug, and it's like that doesn't work.
It's
We're gonna
sad
see the
game
lumps.
because, like we said, like the game has so much potential and can be so much fun. But when you and this is like a real launch. This is not them saying this is early, like because technically Fortnite launched at $60. It was early access. This is not. They've never said that, right? They're like, this is the launch of this game, and so that's gonna hurt it further because people are gonna be like, oh, this is the game. Like, okay.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if they have more plans, like start talking about them now.
Maybe
Like keep
can't.
people.
Yeah, that's
you
it.
need to be
That's the
able
thing,
to.
maybe
That's the thing.
You need to be
though.
able to give you some sort of a roadmap of like these are the types of. You don't need to give specifics, but be like.
I
yeah.
feel like they're talking about it behind the scenes a lot, and I don't think they're able to move quickly enough to fix it at this point. Because now, like, the launch has happened, these
Yeah.
tools are in, and like, how do you take them out now? I don't know. They've got to tweak them somehow, and like we talked so extensively about PvE and making PvE a thing, and I hope that even if they look at it and go, what does PvE look like? There's no way they're going to be able to announce anything PvE related for at least like 3 to 6 months.
I just didn't even mean the PvP. Sorry. Wow. PvE. I was talking more of like these types of with more content or like more interesting,
more factions,
more things.
more
like
quests
we're gonna
or
give
voyages
them
or
more
whatever.
of a personality, whatever. I think that's stuff they need to be talking about right now because I think if you go into the game and if it's somewhat similar to what we played,
They're gonna
Yeah.
push the hell out of Hubs though.
Yeah.
Hubs are gonna get a real good push this month with that game because that's like you need friends. I got friends for you because you're all gonna get shot in the ass. So let's all get shot in the ass together.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm excited to at least give it a go and see, and I'm gonna hold out hope that it's not gonna be as bad. But the initial reports about PvP griefing are real.
Yeah.
If you guys have played Sea of Thieves extensively, if you want to reach out and let us know what your experience has been like, of course, you can always hit us up on our Facebook page, on Twitter. You can email us at contact@whatsgoodgames.com, and we'll do a follow-up after we get some more time to actually like get in and like sink our teeth in. But for now, I definitely need to wrap this segment because we've been talking a long
Can I just? I
time.
wanted to say one more thing. This is my plea to Rare. Please give me a real character creator. Thank you. Goodbye.
Okay.
Work.
Noted. You don't want a dumpy pirate face.
Well, I want to make my pirate. You clearly got assets there. Why can I not mix and match these?
Yeah, that's true.
Yep. Makes sense because they want you to buy them.
No,
They don't even offer you to buy.
Don't
You
do
can't
that.
Don't
even
say
buy
that.
them.
There's a
Please
lot
no.
of buyable cosmetic stuff in that game.
Well, just clothes.
But there's like
buy
buy
a
Buy a face.
But you can buy like the shovel. You can change the
Yeah. I
I
weapons.
don't care about my shovel. I care about my face.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a while for me to get the beauty
Like,
that
I
I
want
wanted
to change my eyeballs.
I want to change. I had a weird like glass eye, and I didn't like it. And I want to make my pirate look the way I want it to look.
Yeah.
And I also want a Governor Marley outfit. Okay, thank you. Goodbye.
Work.
Word. All right. Wish list sent. All right, you guys, we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to learn about Mr. Adams.
Yeah.
All right. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody. This is our final segment, and we wanted to introduce you to the man you've been listening to all show, Mr. Kahlief Adams. So you have your own wonderful podcast, which we talked about at the very beginning of the show. Where did you guys come up with the idea for Spawn on Me?
Spawn on Me kind of came out of, well, first the name came out of a riff on the Battlefield series, which, everyone, when you die and you lay on the ground, and it was like, Spawn on Me first, because I'm closest to everybody else dying. So it came from that, the name at least. But the idea came about because I remember I was working at my 9-to-5 IT job, and I was looking and waiting to hear about the game industry through my lens, and I couldn't find it. Everywhere I'd look, I'd go through every website that I'd been to and every video game store that I've seen. I was like, I don't see anybody who looks like me playing these things and talking about these things and sharing that information out. Is there a space that we can do that in a smart way? Try to bring some nuance back to the internet, which would be fun and difficult. But it started from that space to begin with. It was like, all right, how do we do this? How do we share a message that is through our prism of blackness, because it's for African Americans who are hosting the show at this point. And what does that actually mean? What is the prism that we're trying to figure out and try to kind of share that messaging out and spotlight people who are doing that work. So we've been doing that for almost 5 years now. We're like almost 220 episodes in.
That's
Heck
impressive.
yeah.
Amazing.
It's madness. And I look at that and I was like, it started at my kitchen table, like, and now we're starting at my back room table. So it's like, it's
You've moved rooms. That's
started from the table. Now we're here
at another table.
Yeah, basically. Moved from a nice one to a red one, which is great because red's my favorite color. But yeah, it's been fantastic. It's been a lot of fun. We've gotten a lot of love over the past couple of years. Some really good guests and some fun conversations that I don't think a lot of people have really decided to even jump into, which has been great. So yeah, it's pretty much that so far.
Not too unlike the reason we started What's Good Games.
Yeah.
This idea that there's a voice missing
Yeah.
and underrepresented and underserved. And it's awesome. Have you found that you have had any unforeseen challenges or obstacles that have come up along the way for, the kind of content creation that you guys do?
Yeah. I mean, the hardest part right now is to try to make it known that it's not just for black folks, because it's one of those things where it's like, so you do this show about black people, is it only for black people?
What?
I was like, do you think that about like what? Like what are the other things that, like, no, that's not the way it works. Like it's an for everyone show, but we're talking about things that maybe is very specific to Black culture or through a prism that we may see that you may not see. So here's a vision and here's a way for you to see that through the games that you're playing, things that you might have missed, kind of, sort of. It's interesting because we talk about stuff that people don't want to dig into.
Yeah.
Like when folks are like, "Oh, so do you want to talk about politics in your games?" I was like, "Yeah, everything is political. So let's talk about it in a real way, and talk about how." Things that I may go through in my daily life as a black man in America may give me a different way in seeing the characters that I play when I go home to play a game, or the plot points that you thought were really great. They may not have been that great through my prism. And how do we talk about that in a way that shares that information, in a way that, brings people in, but also it may ruffle feathers. It's a thing that's like you have to be honest about your truth and your experiences. And if you can do that, then people will rock with you or they won't. And it's been good to be able to see the people who've rocked with us and the people who are just like, I don't know if I can mess with that. I'm like, then you don't have to. It's totally fine. Yeah, it's totally fine. And I want those people to listen. Those are the people I want, though.
Yeah.
Those people I want to come through and listen. And like, oh, but why does Battlefield have that black guy on the cover? They're blackwashing the game. And I was like, that's new.
What?
Wait, somebody's
who
actually
said
said that to you?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
When that character was on the front of the cover, they were like, they're blackwashing this game. There were no black people in World War II. And then we were like,
wait, what is that? What?
We were like, these are books. These are awesome.
Have you read anything in your lifetime?
Have you read things? Yeah, these are like things that we get in our inboxes.
Wait, they said there were no black people.
Yeah, they were like black people. Black people didn't fight in World War II.
They didn't exist then. Oh,
No.
they didn't fight. Okay, that's what. I'm like, what do you think?
We spawned way later.
You spawned.
Yeah, you
We spawned way later.
Wait, what?
So it's like those conversations, right? So it's like the stuff that we like to do
Yeah.
on the show is be really smart about what we talk about and bring people on the show who will challenge us in ways that we're not used to, bring about the historical context of how, we have affected this. And I say we, people of color, have affected the industry in ways that people don't remember. And I always kind of use the tagline, we are the culture in that way. We're like, there are so many things that you don't know that touch your games that are part of the culture that African Americans have brought to the country and brought to the world. So it's like all those emotes that you play in Fortnite, some of that is ours. Like that's like that stuff, that people don't pay attention to.
Right.
So it's been nice to be able to talk about that stuff and get that out in the world. Yeah.
I think it's a much needed voice that a lot of people forget about, because we as humans see ourselves and automatically identify with people who look like us.
Of course.
And I think that's what's so great about what you guys are doing, and what we strive to do here is just to be like, hey, like, we're not trying to tell you identifying with people who look like you is bad. Yeah. Like, there's nothing wrong with white men. That's not what we're trying to do here, but like, what we want, though, is for you to just maybe take a time to look at another perspective that isn't yours. Yeah. And sometimes that conversation seems really difficult to have, and I'm not quite sure why people are so resistant to it.
Oh, folks want to feel like every space that is a space that they occupy is theirs. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't want to recognize that you share space all the time. You're consistently rubbing elbows and asses with everybody else in the world. If you go to any parties that I hang out with.
Oh, yeah.
Like these are things that you're constantly touching. The Venn diagram of culture is always
Maybe don't
getting
touch
bigger.
people's asses.
No, I'm not saying to touch people's asses, but if they rub up against you, you got to be like, hey, yo, back up. But it's the Venn diagram of culture is so large that folks don't recognize that those things are always going to be connected. And then when you try to separate yourself out, you lose a lot of the beautiful things that are just a part of gaming culture, outside culture, the main cultures that we all kind of envelop ourselves in. And those are things that when we talk about them, we're like, oh, that is something I could recognize and attach myself to. Geekdom and fandom, it feels like people are trying to silo themselves all the time when it makes no sense when we're all enjoying this one particular thing.
Absolutely.
Or multiple layers of things. So why not talk about those things and then also get the realism of what people are dealing with when they turn their systems off. Like, that's important. You use this as an escape mechanism for most people. It's entertainment and an escape mechanism. But when you turn that off, life is affecting you at all times. And if you don't see those things as crossing over, that's weird. Like there is a crossover there too. And it's okay to recognize that and acknowledge it and talk about it. Yeah.
dropping some knowledge.
I was gonna say that too. I could just listen to you talk all day, dude.
I try.
You're a very smart person.
I try.
He's like, I do that on Spawn on me.
I have the
Perfect
show.
plug.
Maybe you've heard of it.
Yeah.
Which is obviously like an amazing show. You guys should definitely check it out. We have to, of course, talk about your love of video games.
Please.
This is a video game show, after all.
But do you like actually play?
Do you actually play games though?
Do people ask you that?
I doubt
yeah,
it.
yeah. I mean,
What?
I've been playing
People
games
really do?
since. Yeah, of course. I've been playing games since I was 2. So it's weird. I'm 39 now, so it's like one of those things of like I've been playing games long enough that my hands tell me that I've been playing games long enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm a huge Metal Gear fan. Like that was like my series for a very long time. Love that. I love fighters. I love puzzlers. Those are things like I'm still waiting for a remake of Echo Chrome, which was a game on PS3 that was like this kind of. Do you remember those art school models that had those little dolls that are just like human figures?
Mm-hmm.
You would kind of use that as the puzzle stairs thing. It was like Escher puzzles in that game.
I remember this
Yeah,
game.
I remember it too.
That game, I want
I
someone to
didn't play
remake
it.
something like that because it was like really smart. I love to see game companies go for things that are out of the ordinary. One of my other favorite games, I love music games, so like Amplitude is one of those. 4 a.m. is a game that
You
people
saw my
don't
artwork
remember.
up there on the
I
wall?
mean, I'm jealous because that bad boy's out there. 4 a.m. is another game that people don't remember, but I loved that game. Do you remember that at all?
No.
I played that game last night.
No, stop
No,
playing.
no,
it.
no, no. Don't worry,
Oh,
she means it
I'm
real
like,
life.
oh, I love you. You're the best. I love you anyway. But
Thanks.
it's true. 4 a.m. was this wonderful game from Q Games that was basically like you had move controllers and you were performing in your home. And people could see your performance, but they couldn't see you. So, but they basically saw
Like an avatar?
It wasn't even an avatar. It was literally like if you had like an Etch-a-Sketch and it was like things moving around on the screen. It was a visualizer.
Wait, like an Etch-a-Sketch or like one of those pin things like that?
Kind of, sort of, right? But you had
push
your
in
you had
and
your
then
PlayStation camera, and each part of your screen, each quadrant of your screen was a beat. So you'd move through the beats and kind of move backwards and forwards and change the way the sounds went. And it was so funky. And I was like, why doesn't someone make this game again? Because no one bought it. But
It might have something to
that's
do
probably
with
the
it.
reason
Motion
why. But
controls.
stuff like that
But
is
like,
like,
I wouldn't, like, if you were like, this game 4 a.m., I'd be like,
yeah, you're like,
what
what
the
hell
fuck is that?
But that's the thing is like, if you put that in a party now and you just put it in the middle of the room, you told somebody what it was and you let them play it, it would be the life of the party kind of game. And it was fantastic. So yeah, I've been playing for a very long time. Very long time. I'm old. My first console had wood on it. So that's I'm like, that's how old I am. Ooh,
Wood
yeah.
paneling.
Wood paneling.
All the rage.
So did the televisions too. Remember
Yeah,
that?
Each one. The one on
With
the
the
bottom.
knob on the front.
The one that worked on the top and the one that didn't on the bottom.
Oh shit.
I had one of those
I'm
TVs.
old.
So do you have like a favorite game? Like
Favorite?
I hate that question, but I gotta ask.
Oh,
No,
it's difficult.
because we hate it, we have to ask it to everybody,
Oh,
right?
It's difficult. It's difficult. Metal Gear 3. That was my
I like
favorite.
you're like, it's difficult this game.
Metal Gear 3.
Decisive.
Metal Gear 3.
Metal Gear 3.
About
I
5
mean,
seconds of debate.
quick, my brain works fast. That game just did so many things well. Like it just added this next layer of narrative component that I didn't see in a lot of games before, and just wondered where it was going to take things. So it's great being able to have those years in. I can see so many things that I'd played when I was little, and I was like, we're in amazing times. When people complain about stuff, they're like, oh, the servers don't work. I was like, hey, let me tell you about servers not working. When they had no servers.
Right?
Yeah, I was like, so you
They
calm
didn't
that
work
down.
because they didn't exist.
They didn't exist. There was no multiplayer games. You played and then you got mad and you're just like, I got to turn this off.
Yep.
So it's like that weird level of perspective is nice to be able to have because it makes me not complain as much.
Sure.
But yeah, Metal Gear 3 was a fantastic game that just made me want to get into the industry and made me want to figure out how I'd be able to. And then, math happened.
Math.
And I was like, math. Yeah, that's great. It's like,
Do you actually like math?
I know I'm bad at math. That's the reason why.
Oh yeah,
I
I'm
was
bad
like,
at
I
math
wish
too.
I knew. I wish I was good at math because then I'd probably be a developer at some point. But no, it's not gonna happen.
You can be a developer and not be good at math.
I'm good. I mean, now the tools are there. Like I can make a Twine game and make something dope. Like make this narrative story about why raisins are better than most fruit.
Oh my god!
Oh,
no,
hell
you didn't.
no.
You know what? You
Raise
should
my- raise
totally
my
make.
fist.
I
You
think
should
it's-
make a sad little RPG about an oatmeal raisin cookie nobody wants to fucking eat.
We gonna
You
talk
can do that in
about how-
Dreams. When Dreams comes out.
Yes.
Dreams is gonna Dreams is gonna
Dreams.
take over my life. that's no BS. I swear, and I said this on Greg's show, that I feel like that is a game that is going to take over my life.
Like creation wise, like you want to create
Oh,
stuff on it?
absolutely,
Or play
because
it?
it's going to be one of those things that I feel like people don't recognize just how smart Media Molecule is as a dev studio.
No, we I think we recognize it, but it's just like
I think people
can other people appreciate it?
I don't think that people
Yeah.
appreciate.
Well, the mass audience
The
appreciate
the
it.
concept of dreams is so hard to wrap your head around unless you get an hour pitch demo from the team at Media Molecule, which we
did.
luckily did. We got
Yeah.
it behind the closed doors demo, and like looking at all of the tools that they're going to provide people, the toolbox is so impressive. How comprehensive it is out the gate. Speaking of like really packing content into a game, that is how you do that. Now, we don't know exactly what that complete set is going to look like when it launches, but if it's even a fraction of what they showed us, which feels like what they showed us is just a fraction of what's actually going to exist.
My hope is that Dreams is the next easier version of game development for a generation to come.
Absolutely.
That's what I hope it is, because I feel like it's that good. You can do everything in that game that you've ever wanted to, and if you have a specialty that you feel like you're really good at, it's like I'll probably dig into the music generation stuff more than anything else. But I'll be able to share that out with other people, and they'll be able to use what I've made, and then that keeps going.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be funky.
So do you already have an
gonna be
idea
interesting.
of what you want to do?
Oh yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
in your
totally
head,
do. I
master
totally
plan?
do.
like building your
Totally.
portfolio in dreams, being like if you're an
Yeah.
aspiring game designer or an aspiring
Yeah.
art, like
Yeah.
composer or anything, you can be like, I get this game, and then I'm like working with these tools, and I can just kind of like ship it off and be like, look at all my stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Makes
absolutely.
it super accessible in a way previously not really available. And we've seen certain games attempt this. I mean, you know, like even thinking about the project that came to Xbox, Project Spark.
Yeah.
You know, was one of the more recent games that tried this, and for some reason a lot of these games just don't have a lot of sticking power, and I think the accessibility and usability of the tools and how easy they are to learn is really kind of like the defining point of the success. And from what we've seen, it does feel pretty intuitive.
Yeah.
The way that the tools are laid out.
And
So
then when it goes in VR, that's the whole other step.
oh my
Oh,
god.
man.
Then it's over.
You're done.
Then we're in another movie that people don't want to talk about because they don't like it.
Which movie?
Ready Player One.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it either, but it's gonna get into that space, which is gonna be great because then it's like anyone will be able to make a thing, get recognized for that thing, and even if they don't make a full level, they'll be able to say, "I made this thing and it went here, 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 and here." That's so empowering to people who are really wanting to get into game dev. Yeah, it's gonna be cool.
Yeah, I think it's like one of the coolest things we saw was such a tiny like little thing, but also still managed to elicit emotion. And is that the right word to use that word? Anyways,
Yeah.
I was like, wait, and it was the platform like it was just like a circle platform floating in the sky, and there were all of like you were like this one red triangle, and there was a whole bunch of like or whatever shape,
Yeah.
and then there was a whole bunch of other white shapes around you, and anytime you moved, they would all like scatter away from you.
To the point
Did
where
you
they
see
would
this?
jump off the side of the ledge
Oh,
to
wow.
get away from you.
They like
Really?
suicide away from you.
yeah.
And you're left alone on this platform, and then you're like, well, there's nothing to do but jump yourself at the end, right? And then and it's just like, oh my god.
Oh, and doesn't the camera
Yeah, right?
zoom out, and then
the
you
camera
realize
zooms
you're
out
in
in
the
like
middle
a really cinematic way
Yeah.
once you finally do, and you're like, this was like 5 minutes, and I'm like, holy crap, and like
Yep.
so simple, but the
Yep.
idea and the concept is just really cool.
Yeah.
I'm pulling for them so hard.
I don't want this to flop.
I'm
I
pulling for
really
them so
Yeah.
hard.
I'm hoping it doesn't pass over people's heads. I'm hoping that people take the time to like see it for what it is.
No.
They're like, but I said this on the show after we saw it. Like they're gonna have a massive marketing problem, and
Yep.
I don't know
Oh,
how
yeah.
they're gonna solve it. I really don't.
They have their campaign. That's probably the angle they're gonna take too. A
oh
different
yeah,
angle, you know,
for sure.
No.
show you manipulating the campaign and doing things like that. But anyway, more about
They
you.
need to push
You're
Twitch.
awesome.
They need to push Twitch on that real hard
Oh, sure.
because that's where they're gonna thrive. Is
Yeah.
if they get Twitch creative behind them, and I mean not Twitch creative like behind the scenes. I mean like
No,
the
that
communities,
segment. Yeah.
communities in that space. They get that behind them, and they start pushing them early or giving them stuff early. That'll be fantastic. Then they'll have a space to do it. But marketing that, you just market everything under the sun. It's like here's everything.
Here's
that you can get.
everything.
Would you like to be literally anything in the creative field? You can probably do some training in this game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Ka.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, girl.
Dramatic pause. I'm contemplating talking to you exclusively about Paragon and just like kind of cropping Brittany and stuff out of the thing, but we're not going to do that.
I mean, you can. We won't mind. We can take a nap over here.
no crying. We're getting to the end of the show.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure if there's a project that you're working on, you got something cool coming up, anything that you want to promo, like what's good, what's coming.
We are trying to get together our second version of our what we call our Black Academics show.
Okay.
So luckily we've had our show, or at least things from our episodes, kind of taught in curriculums in a couple of places. And so we usually have 3 academics come on the show who love games, and they talk about what they're teaching in terms of game theory and things like that, which has been fantastic to like open that up to another segment of stuff. We have our E3 stuff that's going to be coming out because we're going to be going all to E3. This is going to be the first time we're all together.
That's awesome.
We haven't all been in the same place since we started the show.
Wait, really?
Yeah,
5
we've
years
never-
ago?
Yeah, never. We've never all been in the same place.
That's
Oh my God.
awesome.
Yeah, so this is going to be the first time at E3 where we'll all be at the same place at the
Excited
same
for
time.
you, dude.
As a group that splits and comes together, it's so much more fun when you're together.
Yeah. So that'll be nuts. I'll probably cry.
Oh, you should.
I probably snot bubble cry. It'll be
That's
real
fine.
bad. It'll be a booty butt cheeks moment. And what else? So like Patreon stuff is what's hitting right now. We're trying to kind of broaden out, and we're looking for people who are in the games industry who want to talk about their political leanings in a fun way too. Because we have
What's
our
your Patreon? Plug it.
patreon.com/spawn-on-me, so you can get Spawn on Me After Dark and the Chicago Beltway show, which is our political show. And try to get people on, but it's a sticky situation. People are like, I have PR people I have to deal with, and you need to calm that down. That's
People
a
are
fun.
like, nope.
They'd be like, nah, son. So that's fun. I think the last behind the scenes After Dark show we talked about Black Panther, which was fantastic as well. So yeah, we have a lot of irons in the fire. We're just trying to figure out the next ways to kind of grow. And we have a goal.
Ooh.
We have a goal. So I am the social media manager / community manager / host / producer of all things.
That's our life too.
Yep.
Mostly Brittany's life, but
Yeah.
It's a good life.
Yeah. So we're trying to get every account that I run. So that's the Facebook page, that's our Instagram page, that's the Twitter account, all to 10K followers before the end of 2018.
okay, we can help you with that.
Yeah. So we're trying to do that as like the next milestone to keep growing. So
Gotcha.
Is it all Spawn on Me?
the Twitter account is at Spawn on Me, Instagram is Spawn on Me Podcast, and the Facebook page is facebook.com/Spawn on Me. So yeah, you should be able to find it pretty easy.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So that's like the big goal.
That's
for,
a good
for
goal.
2018. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's really important to have goals that kind of bridge the gap between being just enough out of reach but also attainable.
Yeah.
So that way you're not like really busting your brain trying to figure out like how can I get to this impossible goal.
The primary is like, can we do it before E3? Maybe. If we can get it by 2018, end of 2018, that'll be even better. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Well, you guys have heard him. You can go to all of those social channels. We'll put those links in the description on YouTube and in the show notes on podcast formats. So if you guys want to get those links, they will be right there for you. You don't have to remember it because I know a lot of people listen to this show while they're out and about in their lives and are like, I don't remember what those things are. We'll help you out with that. But Kahlief, this has been wonderful.
I'm so happy we finally got to do this.
No, me too.
I'm so excited. We all have to get you all on the show.
Yes.
Be
'Cause
great.
that'd be dope.
That'd be fun.
It'd be a lot of people all at once, but we could do it.
We can figure it out.
We'll make it happen.
I'll figure it out.
I just can't say enough wonderful things about the work that you're doing, and I'm so happy that you are seeing continued success and you're doing big things because we need more people like Kahlief in video
We
games.
do.
Thank you.
We really do.
As
You're awesome.
As I headbutt the microphone. I tell you how well I podcast. That's better.
Yeah,
That's
it's
better.
okay.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. It means a lot. As a fan of your work and all of your work for so many years, it's been fantastic to see you all grow too, and it's been so dope to see you take over this space in the ways that you have.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, listen, don't forget, he also appeared on Kinda Funny Games Daily because I got kicked off this week.
Killed it.
So you guys can check out his episode with Greg at kindafunny.com. You can also go to youtube.com/kindafunnygames. And I believe the Twitch archive is twitch.tv/kindafunnygames.
Yeah.
But thank you so much again for coming out. This was wonderful.
Anytime.
And be sure to subscribe to Spawn on Me
Spawn on
podcast.
Pond-
And you guys can, of course, find out more about all of what's going on at patreon.com/spawnonme. So that's going to do it for us for this week. Don't forget about all of our awesome PAX things happening. Facebook.com/what'sgoodgames. Please go RSVP for our event if you're going to be at PAX East. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Are we
And-
doing our Life is Strange spoiler cast next week?
So this is a good, thank you for bringing this up. So we've been delaying on doing the Life is Strange spoiler cast because we want to make sure that you guys have had time to play. We haven't all had time to play because of everything that's going on. Yeah, why don't we?
Let's do it.
Next week. So this is your official warning. If you guys have not played the farewell episode of Life is Strange Before the Storm, make sure to do that. And we're going to go through all of our decisions and choices and talk about it, and we'll cry together.
Yeah.
Next
I
week.
probably won't cry.
Next week on the show. Steimer, we would expect nothing less of you.
Okay.
Okay. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks for listening and watching.